Alright, on this episode of Marcus Talks About Games, we are going to be breaking down the Mortal Kombat 11 reveal event, the new characters, the new gameplay, story, all that great stuff, as well as talking about my history with Mortal Kombat as my favorite fighting game series of all time, and I can't wait for this next entry. On top of that, I've also got a very special interview with the one and only Dark Raiden from the game. We're going to be sitting down with him. The Thunder God was able to shoot down and give me a few moments of his time in between beheading Elder Gods to talk about his new attitude, his new change, and what that means for the Mortal Kombat series going forward. Finally, I've got part 2 of the 2019 Game Preview Spectacular with Jack Gardner, co-host of the Best Games Period podcast. It's all right here on Marcus Talks About Games. Hey there, Earthrealmers. My name is Marcus Stewart, and this is Marcus Talks About Games, the only podcast in the world where you can hear me, Marcus Stewart, talk about video games. There's literally no other show centered around that very premise. I guarantee it. And today's going to be a good one because I get to talk about Mortal Kombat. That's right. MK11 is on the horizon. We had the big reveal event this past week, showing off the gameplay, the new characters, new story. They even managed to inject a bit of pro wrestling into it, which, as a giant pro wrestling fan, is very much appreciated. So yeah, let's just hop right into that. So, NetherRealm Studios had this big whole shindig to show off Mortal Kombat 11 to the world. For realsies. Of course, it made its debut at the Game Awards back in December, and I liked the vibe of the event. It had a very kind of like 90s to like mid 2000s feel, like an old press conference, like just centered around one game. You had like I guess they invited a bunch of like really big Mortal Kombat fans and a lot of like streamers and content creators there. Apparently my invitation was lost in the mail, so, that's why I wasn't there, but I would have been if not for the crappy mail service around here. But we even had some wrestlers there, like I was watching the pre-show, and 2/3 of the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were there in cosplay, as well as Zelina Vega, also of WWE, in a very nice-looking Jade costume. And Xavier Woods was dressed up as Shao Kahn, and he actually looked pretty great. Had a giant hammer and everything. And yeah, it was a cool vibe just seeing all the, like all these really passionate fans and their cool costumes and just talking about their love of the series, what it means to them, who they're excited to see come back in terms of the roster. And the event was only about an hour-ish, if even that, maybe like 45 minutes, but we got to see the new gameplay tweaks, like the new like fatal blow system, which at least from what I can tell looks like it's kind of replacing the X-rays. They kind of serve the same purpose though, where it's like these really elaborate death animations, super moves that happen mid-match. So I think it's only when you're on your like last third or so of health, like 30%, but they looked amazing. And much like the X-rays, you wonder how the opponent is still able to get back up, because these moves look very much fatal, but that's Mortal Kombat for you. They're also adding 2 meters, like instead of having the super meter that was always on the bottom, they've got 2 now, kind of in an L shape. One, like, I think they dictate offensive and defensive super moves. And I've always been impressed with Mortal Kombat being able to, or at least their willingness to change things up from series to series. You really don't see that with any other fighting game franchise, to be honest with you. Like, I think that's something that is very hard to do, because a fighting game, the thing that makes them, that keeps people coming back to them is, like, even though they introduce new characters and maybe 1 or 2 little tweaks, but generally the core fighting is the same, because you're trying to, or at least I mean, trying, but to retain that hardcore audience, you kind of got to stick with what they know and only make like very light iterations, like Street Fighter, adding the super meters with 4, and then like little tweaks like that. Whereas Mortal Kombat will just kind of overhaul everything. It's like, okay, the thing that you knew before, it's still kind of there, but also we're going to change like a bunch of like really major systems. So now you have to kind of relearn how to play this game. And I don't know how much that would drive a professional player crazy, because I am very much not that level of player. I think I'm pretty good, but the moment I step online, I'll probably get my ass handed to me. But I've always thought that was really neat that MK was always willing to shake things up, and I think it's one of the reasons why the franchise has always remained fresh for as long as it has, ever since I was a kid, which is kind of a nice segue to kind of dive into my own personal history with Mortal Kombat. Like I said at the top of the show, it's my favorite fighting game franchise and one of my favorite franchises in general. I've been playing the game since MK1 was in arcades, to show my age a little bit. And ever since then, I've always been enamored with it. Like, I remember seeing the original arcade cabinet for MK1 in like a really dinky flea market in like the ghetto. And you know, if you've ever been to like a crappy flea market, you know those kind of arcades. It's like the really sad arcades that has like a Galaga machine and like combined with a Pac-Man machine that's all dingy and dirty because it hasn't been washed since the 1980s. It's got the one kind of grab the little claw game with the crappy prizes inside. It's got the one not like kind of generic beat 'em up game that isn't like X-Men or Simpsons or anything like that. It's just some crappy one you were like, oh, okay, I guess this'll do. And then there was a Mortal Kombat machine, and I remember little young me back in, God, when was the first MK? 92, 93, maybe 91. I don't remember. Around this time, early 90s. Going there with my mom, my brother, and seeing that cabinet and seeing like the cool picture of Raiden on the side of it, and watching kind of the demo footage on screen, and just being blown away, like seeing real life actors kicking the crap out of each other and blood and just how gory. I was like, oh my god, this is like a karate movie basically. And you know, turning to my mother and looking into her eyes with my big adorable eyes that you just can't say no to, and saying, Mummy, may I have a quarter for the video game? And then she stared at me, taken aback by my sudden change of accent, and gave me some money in order to get me away from her, because she was very much disturbed and assumed I had been possessed by the ghost of a young English child. So she thought maybe that the video game would exorcise that demon out of me. And it did, because as soon as I fired up that game for the first time, I was just completely taken aback. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just very much mashing buttons because I was a kid. But I was hooked. I was like, this is so cool. Like, just look at the blood. Oh my god, the super moves that I'm not doing, but my opponent is performing effortlessly on me. Oh my god, the guy just threw a spear and told me to get over here. What the hell is this? And from then on, I was ready. I was in. I was in like Flynn. I eventually got the Genesis port of the first game, and then MK2, and then from then on, I've had every MK game. I remember seeing the movie, the first MK movie in theaters when it came out, and having that being one of my favorite just cinematic experiences as a kid, because, you know, it's these characters that you kind of grew to love, and seeing them on the big screen for the first time. And I still maintain that Mortal Kombat 1 is the greatest video game movie of all time. A lot of people say that there's never been a good video game adaptation in film, and I'd say that's about 99% correct, but no one ever brings up that first MK movie. Now, I'm not claiming that it's a masterpiece or anything, but in terms of being a completely acceptable, fun film that actually, at least to me, captures the spirit and tone of that franchise, that first movie does a damn good job with it. I also saw Mortal Kombat Annihilation in the theaters, and I was completely taken aback by that too, albeit in a far worse way. If that wasn't clear, that movie is awful, and you should probably not watch it. Or maybe you should, because it's hilarious in an unintentional way. I kind of fell out with the series a little bit around MK4, which I wasn't super big on, and then that was around the era that we got the not great kind of spin-off adventure games like Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero and then Mortal Kombat Special Forces, the latter of which I actually played to completion many years later while I was in college, and that game is it's not good. It's not a good game. And then came back when Deadly Alliance came out, just because that was the big shift to the PlayStation 2 and the new 3D gameplay. And I've been back on board with this since. I love that franchises. I love the mythos of that franchise. There's so much kind of thought put into that story and that world, and a lot of it is so absurd and dumb, but it's an entertaining kind of dumb. And I think it just has so much more substance to it and meat than a lot of fighting games have, where it's not even so much about like who's stronger or who's better. It's just like, well, why are these guys fighting each other? And this guy was dead the last game, but he came back because of this dude, and now there's wizards and there's a dragon man. As a fan of ridiculous dumb stuff, Mortal Kombat checks all of those boxes. And his new game, from what I can see, retains that. We got to see a little bit of story taking place right after MKX with Dark Raiden, who of course made his debut originally in Mortal Kombat Deception, or Deadly Alliance. Can't remember Dark Raiden. No, it was Deadly Alliance. He was in Deadly Alliance, and then he like blew himself up in Deception. See, I'm having like a bit of a complete nerd moment here. But we've kind of circled back to that era of Mortal Kombat since MK9 kind of rebooted the timeline. And yeah, Raiden's evil, and he decapitates Shinnok, who of course was the vile Elder God, who was the villain in the previous Mortal Kombat game. And we kind of get to see the setup, which involves time travel, it seems. We're going to get like multiple versions of each character, which in a gameplay sense means that you can now customize characters. You can have, you can make like different versions of each, like Scorpion in terms of like aesthetically, like they were going through all the different costume combinations, which is pretty cool. And I know that's going to be a big hit with the very passionate Mortal Kombat kind of like online community, like the people that like to make their own original characters. That should be really cool, and I look forward to tinkering around with my own takes on the roster. We got the confirmation of Ronda Rousey being involved, which had been rumored for a week or so prior to the event. She's going to be voicing Sonya Blade, which should probably be okay. I mean, much like her speech when she came on stage and talked about how she's pretty much emulated Sonya Blade throughout her career, I was like, yeah, that seems like a good fit. I'm curious to see how she is as an actress, because if you watch her on Raw, she's good when she's just being herself, but when she's clearly reading a script, she can come off as a little, I guess disingenuous. Like, she's not, at least at this juncture, not the most convincing actress. But when you kind of just let her go, because she's a fantastic, just natural trash talker, then she's wonderful. So it's like, I wonder how much she was maybe allowed to ad-lib with her performance, because like the few clips that they showed of her, I was like, yeah, this seems like Ronda Rousey acting. Like, she's trying, but it's not like fantastic, at least to me. Let's go to look at that new guy, Garrus, who's one of the new characters. I think he was the only brand new character who showed up. He's like this big, towering guy. He kind of reminded me of like a younger Michael Clark Duncan, and he seems to have like time travel or time manipulation powers, and as well as sand powers. Like, his gameplay looked cool, where you saw him like turning into sand and teleporting behind people, kind of like Raiden, as well as like making like, it looked like he was teleporting through people with sand and making like sand versions of himself. So it's like a little bit of Raiden, a little bit of Sub-Zero with the copy, with like the fake ice versions of him. He looked really cool from a gameplay end, but something about the character just strikes me as forgettable already. Like, it's always been really tough in Mortal Kombat throughout its series, because they've introduced so many new characters that there's very few of them to me that really stick around in terms of being memorable. Even if they play fine, like Mortal Kombat Deception, for example. There's a character in that game called Cobra, who was basically a kickboxing dude that looked like the MK version of Ken from Street Fighter. And he was one of my favorite characters to play as, but as a character, he was absolutely forgettable. And he only showed up in one game. I mean, he did show up in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, but the only reason was because that game's entire premise was every character ever. So he was just obligated to appear. But outside of that, like you see a lot of characters, especially from like the post Mortal Kombat 4 era, that really have never come back. Like a Raiko or Natara. Like even though some of them are kind of cool, there's just something about like it seems like NetherRealm has always had a hard time making someone that feels like, oh yeah, this guy fits in with that cast of those first three games, that iconic cast. And this guy, just kind of looking at him, I don't know, there's something about him that's like, I don't know if he feels like a Mortal Kombat character just aesthetically, and I'm not even entirely sure what that means. Maybe he doesn't strike me as like a brutal just murderer like everyone else in that game, even though I don't know, it was hard to place my finger on, but I was like, I feel like this guy is only going to be in this one game and then we're never going to hear from him again. I'm curious to see if anyone from X shows up, particularly like the Kombat kids, of course the children of all the existing fighters that were in that game, because none of them were shown in, at least, or none of them have been revealed for 11, despite them being the primary focal point of X, or any of the other just new characters like Aaron Black, the cowboy man, who also, despite being kind of cool, I don't think he's another guy that strikes me as like a one and done guy. I would love Devora to come back. I actually thought she was one of the coolest characters that they've introduced in a while. She was the creepy bug lady that would throw up in your mouth and have bugs eat you up alive and all that stuff. I actually thought she was really cool and different and fit the mythos. Like, I don't know, like, again, it's a weird thing to say, like, fit the series or not. I'm not even entirely sure what that means, but you just kind of get that feel of like, oh yeah, I could see this person standing right next to Scorpion or Liu Kang and not feeling like the odd man out or the odd woman out. So I hope that Devora comes back, but I am happy that they brought back Scarlet, who was one of my favorite characters in Mortal Kombat 9. Of course, if you are not aware, she was the female ninja who could manipulate blood. She seems to be a much more fleshed out character, whereas in MK9 she was just a DLC character. Now she can talk and just seems to have like an actual personality behind her, which is always a nice thing. And the best part is that the game's right around the corner, relatively at least, April 23rd. I would love to see that become more of a thing in games in terms of announcing them 6 months or so before they're actually supposed to come out, and eliminating that wait of like a year or a year and a half or 2 years, which has kind of become the acceptable thing. It's nice to see a game for the first time and then realize, hey, I'm probably going to be alive by the time this comes out. Neat. But yeah, again, I'm super excited for the game. Can't wait to play it. And you know what else I can't wait for? For you guys to hear my exclusive interview. He's the once good, now less good Thunder God and protector of Earthrealm, Raiden. Yes, despite not being invited to the event, I was still able to snag someone from the game. The interview didn't go quite as long as I would have liked. Things got a little bit tense between us, so just out of fear for my own safety, I kind of had to wrap it up, as you'll soon hear. But I hope you enjoy it, and let me know what you think and who else you would like to have as a guest on this show. So with that said, here's my interview with Raiden. Alright guys, so I'm currently sitting here waiting for Raiden to show up. Again, I'm not entirely sure when he's supposed to arrive, but it should be any moment now. I'm just waiting. Jeez! God damn it! I thought we said we were not doing that. I told you I had a front door and a phone that you could have called. You didn't have to zap in. The carpet is singed now. I have to... Oh my god, sorry. My heart is ticking like... My heart is beating like crazy right now. Come on, man. A thunder god bows to no one. You have summoned me here, mortal. Make your questions quick. I have many offenders of Earthrealm to smite. Right, well, it's raining outside all of a sudden. Yeah, let's just get right to this, I guess. Well, first of all, we've all seen that you've changed quite a bit since the ending of Mortal Kombat X. If you all remember, you got a hold of Shinnok's amulet, and it's kind of changed you. You've kind of taken a turn for the worse, I guess. You've got this this kind of red kind of hateful lightning look about you. It's kind of like a Sith Lord kind of thing going on. You got a new look, and you're just kind of you're terrifying. Basically, it seems that the kid gloves have come off, so to speak. Why this change? For eons, I allowed mercy and benevolence to cloud my judgment. I believed that strength could be found in kindness, but look where it got me. Earthrealm's greatest defenders, slain, or worse, corrupted. I see now that kindness does not make for sustained peace, and that mercy is wasted on those who defile Earthrealm. Okay, and we saw what you mean by that when you decapitated Shinnok's immortal head, both at the end of Mortal Kombat X, and we got to see it again at the opening of Mortal Kombat 11. Now, don't get me wrong, Shinnok's a pretty terrible dude, but that's pretty messed up, man. And I have to ask, too, I was thinking about this when I saw you do that. Are you a fan of the new God of War? Because in that game, we saw Kratos perform a similar act in that game, albeit significantly less intimidating, terrifying. What do you say about that? I know not who this God of War is, but should he decide to wage war with Earthrealm, he shall face the same fate as that vile Elder God. Speaking of Shinnok, his disgusting head now serves as a warning, an emblem of my wrath. Would-be invaders would now think twice before besmirching the realm under my watch. What do the surviving Earthrealm defenders think about this new attitude? They can't be entirely pleased to see that you've more or less become everything that you've preached against. I have not yet consulted with Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, or Jackson Briggs, but they should be nothing but thrilled that I will now stop at nothing to protect their realm. For years they have fought to bring peace. I am merely cementing their efforts. Speaking of our friends, do you plan on rescuing the corrupted souls of Liu Kang and Katana? As we saw, they were transformed into revenants in Mortal Kombat X, and we last saw them taking over the Netherrealm in kind of filling the void that Shinnok left after his defeat. So are you gonna restore them back to their formerly heroic selves, or are they just next on your hit list? Mercy is wasted on those who defile Earthrealm. Okay, yeah, I think you already kind of said that. Do you dare to mock me, mortal? No, sir. A wise decision. Okay, I'm gonna just speed through the rest of these notes because my equipment's starting to act wonky from all this electricity, and you're kind of starting to scare me as well. I've been wondering this for a long time, ever since I was a little kid, but how do you feel about the people who spell your name with a Y instead of an I? They spell it R-A-Y-D-E-N when it's actually R-A-I-D-N. How does that make you feel when you see people spell it the other way? Okay then. Thank you for your time. Alright, I hope you guys liked that because it almost cost me my life. But those are the risks I will take for you, my listeners. Changing gears now, we've got part 2 coming up of our 2019 video game preview extravaganza, spectacular, super mega duper talkathon about video games with co-host of the Best Games Period podcast, Jack Gardner. This is a big one that we got coming up. This is probably the last 2/3 of this whole sit down with us. If you enjoyed part 1, you'll love this one. We go through a bunch of games, give our thoughts, go off on weird, dumb tangents about certain games. I will say ahead of time that if you're looking forward to Life is Strange 2 in particular, which actually the second episode drops this coming week, I think it's the 24th. Jack and I are both really big fans of that episode, to the point where we got a little carried away and kind of spoiled a lot of it. So if you have not played Life is Strange 2, you're probably going to want to skip ahead a few minutes just so we don't ruin the first game's plot. So just a heads up. Another thing is that given that this was recorded a few weeks earlier, we do touch on Mortal Kombat 11 a bit. So those thoughts are going to be, I guess, slightly outdated. We don't spend too much time talking about it. If nothing else, it's kind of fun to listen back to it and see kind of what I thought it would be or hoped it would be, and then compare it to what actually has transpired, at least thus far. With that said, without further ado, here's the second part of Jack Gardner and I chatting about the big releases in 2019. Enjoy. Okay, we are back, and we are tackling this next game that I personally have very little to say about, so I'm wondering if you will. That's Far Cry New Dawn.
It looks very unambitious to me.
I didn't play Far Cry 5.
I feel like the creative steam has gone out of Far Cry. Like...
Yeah, did you play 5?
I didn't, but only because I knew I would be disappointed.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. Based on what I was hearing from other people that I knew were playing it, and also, like, even before the game came out, like, being so disappointed at, like, where that initial pitch kind of went to of, like, that first reveal, I was interested of, like, oh, like, the like, militia thing in America and all that stuff, like, oh, this is going to be really controversial, and we're going to, you know, like, how political it was, like, okay, that's different for them, that could be cool. And then, like, I believe we were at E3 the months later when they showed it again, and it was like the kind of Far Cry, like, whoa, destroy stuff, you're in a helicopter, and I was like, this is very different tonally than what that first thing you showed, and that was all it was for the rest of the game until it released.
Yeah, I think
they kind of like pussed out.
Yeah.
To be blunt.
I think they needed to, in order to like really recapture my interest, they really needed to have gone a lot farther with that. They really needed to actually deliver on that initial premise, which had like
cults and stuff. That seems so cool.
I think it had the potential to actually like say some really interesting things, and the fact that it didn't really just kind of, I don't know, then why are we bothering to play more of them?
Yeah, and this game especially because it's a direct sequel to 5, so if you didn't play 5, I mean, the game itself is kind of a spoiler for what happens, so, but from what I understand, spoiler alert, the game ends with nukes getting dropped in America from, like, North Korea, which is weird. From what I've been told from people, it's, like, the ending basically comes out of nowhere, because, like, the whole nukes being dropped at Korea has nothing to do with, like, the main plot. Like, it had, like, I was like, did the cult do it? It's like, no, like, apparently the entire time we were in Montana, globally, tensions between the US and Korea have been really, like, basically just teetering on the brink, and then North Korea just said, screw you guys, and then blew us up. So that's, like, how the game ends, basically. So this is, like, I guess sometime after that, and it's, like, a post-apocalyptic world, even though everything still looks, like, really pretty and vibrant, like, there's still vegetation, which is interesting.
Well, I do like that kind of a take on a post-apocalyptic world where, like, there's still color.
Oh, it looks nice. I'm just wondering, like, logically, like, does that make sense that there would still be, like, it looks like nothing happened, really.
It depends on how long it is after the fall of society. Although it's the idea that North Korea would be able to topple the United States by any stretch of the imagination is, I don't know how you get there. It's the same.
Did you not play Homefront?
It's the same problem Homefront had.
Did you not? Homefront explained it pretty well.
And so
there's 2 of those games.
I don't know why, but it's, I don't know. It looks, again, unambitious and kind of like.
It looks like they're leaning very, I don't know if this was just me, but it looks like they're going for a Rage 2 kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like, even more goofy. Like, whatever remnants of the, like, dark cult political thing they were going with Far Cry 5 seems to be completely thrown out the window with New Dawn of, like, we're just being goofy and crazy, even though it's, like, a post-apocalyptic thing. But I was like, isn't that basically Rage 2's pitch of, like, it's goofy post-apocalyptic open world shooter thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of... None of it matters. Like... But there's a part of me that's like, well, it's kind of weird that they decided to follow up the, Midwestern militia crazies with a game about two unhinged black women.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
But then at the same time, it's like, well, but we already know that the game itself doesn't seem to care about its story at all or telling anything that resembles something that might have a controversial message. So, like...
Wouldn't it be hilarious if they did, like, a 180 where, like, this game on the surface looks really goofy, but then it's actually really dark and political?
And the main women... the main enemy, as always, is black women. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a far cry away from what the series used to be, about the whole colonial stake in Africa, which is Far Cry 2.
Yeah.
That game is actually dark. And
I just downloaded it because it's currently free for Xbox Live Gold, because I've always been curious about it, especially nowadays. I'll try it out. The only game I've really played all the way through was 3. And I loved it.
And 3 was at least doing something interesting where, like...
It was very new at the time.
Well,
like,
and your crazy fun time was kind of part of the point of the story.
Yeah, though the protagonist sucked.
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole
He's the worst part of that game.
The whole point is that, like, you're one of those sucky tourists from out of town that it doesn't actually view this place as, like, a place with real people.
Oh, I got it, but he was still, like, not enjoyable to be.
Oh, no, totally. I get it. But, like, the game itself was trying something. And
yeah, and on a gameplay end, it was awesome.
Yeah. And now it's just kind of, I feel like everything is just kind of, it's all about the gameplay now.
Yeah, and also everything has been modeled after that formula that 3 established, which is now, with so many open world games, like, one of the things that made me hesitant to play 5 after hearing what it was like, okay, the story doesn't deliver, and the gameplay seems to just be more Far Cry, which at this point is becoming more and more dated as a lot, like, there's a greater volume of more interesting open world games. Do I want to play, like, another one of these with a really disappointing plot? And it's like, no, not really. At least not right now. Maybe down the line if it's, like, free or at a really big discount and I'm just really curious to see, like, for myself what this was. But yeah, like, just from a gameplay end, like, I don't know if I can put up with another one of those kind of, like, Ubisoft open worlds that doesn't shake it up like the way, like, say, an Assassin's Creed Origins did.
I see, like, whatever. If people are still gonna buy it, then that's fine.
Yeah, if you like it, we're not saying not to buy it. This is just us.
I just think eventually it's gonna run out of steam because it's not about anything anymore.
Yeah, I think it ran out of steam with 5, so I'm curious to see how this does.
Far Cry Primal was interesting, at least. That was a thing they tried.
I never played that, but I still would like to, purely because of how different it is. I mean, I've heard it's generally the same kind of design. I'm just more interested in the setting more than anything. One day I'll get to that. But yeah, Far Cry New Dawn. We give it a golf clap, I guess.
I don't like it. Just
okay, not even that.
I'm done with it, and it looks more of the same. And, like, sure, it's doing the Rage 2 thing, but I'm also not super invested in Rage 2, so
Yeah. Hey, you can't talk about Rage 2 yet.
Just previewing for listeners.
All right. Here's a game I am interested in. Fire Emblem, Three Houses.
Heck yeah.
We got a mainline Fire Emblem game for Switch. And yeah, I'm about with you on that one. Hell yeah. That sounds exactly like something I would want on my Switch.
And it doesn't look like complete butt. Which is...
Are you talking about, like, graphically?
Yeah, graphically. Because literally every single Fire Emblem game that hasn't been on a handheld looks awful. Like, their 3D graphics are just terrible. Outside of
like, hey, you're like, most of the time you're gonna be zoomed out anyway on the map. You don't really need to look at these guys.
But the problem is that when you attack, it goes through the battle animation, and that brings you close up to
we assumed you would hit the speed up button.
3D models.
Which honestly is a fair assumption, because I usually do.
I mean, I would let it play out if it wasn't aggressively attacking my eyes. But
it's attacking your eyes as much as the units.
Now it has kind of a nice anime aesthetic from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. More Fire Emblem.
Me too. I don't know anything about it in terms of the plot. I kind of don't care because I really don't care much about Fire Emblem stories. They're just kind of like, they're fine, but nothing. I just like the gameplay and the tactics behind it. So the idea of having another like one of those, but on my Switch, sounds fan-tucking-fastic.
Do you not even like do support conversations? Because if not, you're missing out.
Oh no, I did that. Like I played I didn't play the last one, but I played like Fates.
Okay.
And I did all that stuff, like the relationship stuff. I mean, there's a gameplay benefit because you get more units and stuff like that when they have kids.
Yeah.
So but I will say I did become endeared to my my posse. Which is something I like with those tactics games, like when you get to know them, because then it makes their deaths all the more like impactful. Because, I play with permadeath. So, like, you're like, oh no, you can't die. I was going to hook you up with so-and-so. Or you guys are together and you guys are going to have a kid and then now you're dead. That sucks. So yeah, I do engage with that.
Okay. Cool. I support you.
Yeah, that should, thank you. So yeah, that looks great. Next up, curious to see what you think about this. Gears 5. Gears of War 5, in case that wasn't clear, but it's just Gears now. Yeah, I will say that I liked Gears 4 quite a bit at the time. That game seems to have very much kind of like came and went, and without making much of an impact. Though I will say that Gears 4 was quite good, in my opinion. Like, they did some new stuff in terms of like the weather stuff and the new characters, the new enemies, the non what were the new enemies called? The Swarm, whatever they were called, like them, and then the robot enemies. I thought they were cool. Like, I think that is a good Gears of War game. It just kind of it just seemed to like I said, just kind of come and go. I've always been a fan of those games. They play well. They're fun to play with other people. This one, I'm interested in narratively because Kate, who was one of one of your squad members in the first game, now she is the main protagonist. Though JD and I forgot the black dude's name. They're still there.
Cole.
What was his name?
Cole?
No. The new black kid. Like, he's like one of the new characters.
Okay.
Cole is still there. Like, he showed up in Gears 4 along with like everyone else, like Baird and everybody. But yeah, they kind of continue the thread left in 4 about Kate basically being related to the Locust Queen. Like, I believe she's like the granddaughter, technically, if I remember how that goes correctly.
I wish I could. Like I wish I could muster any amount of enthusiasm for any of this.
Are you a Gears of War fan?
I played through the first 3 quite a bit, and
okay. Do you care about the lore at all, or do you just like the game?
I was interested in it for a little bit, and then it just all completely died.
Did you care when Dom died?
No.
Did you cry? I mean,
I also didn't care when he killed his wife.
You didn't care when he drove his truck into the thing? And
no.
Did you care when he killed his wife?
No.
No. It was pretty emotional. Or was trying to be.
It was trying to be. I'll say that. I'll agree with you. It was trying.
It was a very hard thing to try because the game is very, goofy and macho-y, and then it's like, also I have to shoot my wife, and it's emotional.
I don't understand how the Gears of War universe functions outside of like if it wasn't under attack by horrific monsters all the time.
Yeah, I will say the cool thing about 4 is that you kind of get an idea of, like, how that world, like, because, it's like 20 or however many years after the end of 3, and society is kind of beginning to rebound, like, civilizations. You're like, okay, like, I kind of want to see what this world would be like if it wasn't under constant conflict. Like, what's your government like and stuff like that. And you kind of get an idea of that. I'm still not totally clear on it either, so
it's just... Are they normally all proportioned like walking refrigerators?
Oh, you mean like their bodies?
Is that everyone?
No, because
is it just like a select species of human?
Well, plus that armor is really bulky too.
I feel like they're big without the armor.
I mean, they are, but also they're in the armies that are jacked.
That's not how all army people look, though.
I mean, these are the gears, though. There's the army, and then there's the gears, or the cogs, or whatever they're called. Like, they're like an elite force or something.
Yeah,
so
you need
like linebackers to shoot. Only a linebacker can hold those chainsaw guns. Plus Kate, she can do it too, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess Anya also was not built like.
I feel like as the series has gone on, it's lost more and more like cohesion as a narrative, which really weakens it for me. But I realize we still have to continue.
3 went off the rails a bit with the story. 3 was really fun, like as a video game, those games are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When you start if you try to get too invested into like the lore, you're probably gonna be disappointed.
I think they really appealed to a time and a place for me, and that time has gone, and maybe it's still around for you young teenagers out there.
Hey, I still like Gears, but again, for those reasons of like, hey, they're fun. They're really totally fun and competent cover-based shooters.
Yeah. I understand liking them for the mechanics. I just can't muster up any enthusiasm for that world.
I want to see how Kate connects to the Locust Queen. I want to see what's going on with that crazy ass dumb thing.
Just look it up on Bing.
No, I'm gonna play the game. See for myself. I mean, I have Game Pass, so I get it day one.
I mean, I'm sure there's already fan art out there. You can see for yourself.
Now that you said it, now it is. Now that you, so if there wasn't before, there is now. So thanks for that. Okay, so next game is one that has only been shown once, and I'm really excited for it, and that's In the Valley of Gods, which is Campo Santo's next game. The creators of Firewatch, which is one of my favorite games of this generation, actually. This is their next project, and it was shown a year ago. I think it was the Game Awards in 2017, or maybe it was E3, but yeah, even back then they said 2019, but at times like, wow, that's a far off date to announce something. But do you remember this, Jack?
Yeah.
Is the kind of like it's like set in like 1920s like Egypt. And you're playing as like an explorer, like a researcher, like a lady, and you got a partner, and you're like exploring the Valley of the Kings, basically. And like, yeah, that's about it. There's not really anything in terms of like what the plot is exactly.
I mean,
but
if the plot is you are bonding with your research assistant while also exploring tombs and dealing with traps, that sounds awesome. So
yeah. I mean, like I said, I loved Firewatch, so I'm excited for another like narrative from that team, especially when it comes to like character relationships. I love the Delilah thing in Firewatch with the whatever the guy's name was, I forgot. So yeah, like if it's like what you said of like these two these two friends or whatever they are kind of having to get to know each other or bond and like do Egypt stuff. And also I'm a sucker for ancient Egypt. I love ancient Egypt stuff. So any more Egypt games is a-okay with me. But yeah, and it also looks pretty. It looks really nice.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's about all I say about that. Looking forward to it. Another game that was announced at the Game Awards this year is Journey to the Savage Planet.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about this one, so...
This was, I think it's like a multiplayer shooter thing, like a cooperative... can I say that? Cooperative thing where you're like on an alien planet. It's like an exploration game and space thing. And I think it's actually the first indie game from a designer from Far Cry. I forget what I think they're called Typhoon. But it's kind of cool looking, I thought. It didn't like blow me away, but I was like, oh, this could be like a cool looking thing. It's an indie game. It's a very impressive looking indie game just from a production value thing. But yeah, it's like you go to an uncharted planet and you're basically trying to determine if it's livable. And it's not much other to say than that. It's first person, and yeah, you're going around researching stuff and shooting some stuff every now and again, but it's supposed to have kind of like a kind of a lighthearted tone to it. I think it looks neat. That's pretty much all I can say about it. It looks like it could be neat.
It's that meme of Marge holding up a thing and she's just saying, I think it's neat.
Is that a meme?
Yeah, there's like a meme image of Marge from The Simpsons.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that, but yeah. Neat. All right, up next is another kind of I'm super excited for this. Judgment, which is the Yakuza team's next game, formerly Project Judge, and now has its formal title of Judgment.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about that one.
It basically looks like Yakuza, but you play as a former like defense lawyer, I think he was, and basically the idea is that he defended a person, like a guy, and got him acquitted of like murder or some crime, but then the guy ended up going back home and possibly murdered his wife. Like his wife gets murdered and he's pegged as the suspect, so like that ends up disgracing him. And he drops out of the, like, he quits his career. But then he takes up, like, some other crime happens that connects him. So then he kind of becomes a private investigator. And you're going around, like, trying to solve this mystery. And it's got very much a Yakuza vibe in terms of, like, the combat and, like, just the goofiness of it. But it looks super cool just because it's very Yakuza. It's like Yakuza if you combine it with Phoenix Wright.
Yeah.
It's which is, that's A-okay because I like both of those things.
Well, and as far as I know, it's been getting a lot of really good buzz because it's already out in Japan from Japanese critics. It? Yeah. As far as I know, maybe I'm making that up. I should probably check that.
Famitsu gave it a 38 out of 40.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess.
You're gonna guess. Well,
Famitsu always kind of. I don't think I've ever seen like Famitsu actually trash anything from Japan. To be perfectly honest, I'm sure there are games, but I feel like every time I look at what their score for a Japanese game, it's always like near perfect. But yeah, that game looks awesome personally, and. I like that the Yakuza team's doing something new, and it's something that personally speaks to me.
Scratch that. Scratch that. The demos were released in Japan.
Okay, are we getting a demo?
I don't know, but they've had 2 demos so far.
We deserve at least one of those. Give us one. Give us one of your demos, please. You got 2. Let us have one of them. Yeah, that game. Like I said, like I think that looks awesome, and I'm psyched to see what that... I just want to know how that story plays off and just what kind of goofy, dumb shit you can get into it. And I think the investigation aspect of it looks really interesting. It could be cool if it's done right.
Yeah. So. I really want to see an investigation-style game really pay off. Murdered Soul Suspect looked like it had a lot of promise, and then...
Oh, crap. I forgot about that game.
Didn't 100% deliver on it, but... yeah. I'm hoping Judgment can provide. That'd be cool. That would.
Here's another game from. That would be cool. And here's another game from Japan. It might be the most Japanese-ass Japan game of this year, or next year, I should say. It's Jump Force.
Heck yeah.
You like anime?
I do. I write about anime.
Well, there's going to be so much anime in this game, I don't even know if you can handle it, because all the anime is in this game.
Oh my gosh.
It's got... You like Goku?
Sure.
He's in it. You like Naruto?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those are in it. You like Hunter x Hunter? Or Hunter Cross Hunter? How do you actually say that? Is it cross?
I think you just say Hunter Hunter.
Oh, I've never... Okay, I didn't even consider that. What's the X for?
It's like Hunter versus Hunter.
You like that?
Yeah.
It's in there too. And much more. So basically, it's a 3-on-3 fighting game starring a bunch of Shonen Jump characters, and they're all beating the crap out of each other. It's got the Goku, it's got which is hilarious to me. It's got Yugi.
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh, he's in it.
Yeah, we have to buy it and play it just for that.
I joked about him being in that game, and then they actually did it.
It was great.
And I was so happy when I saw that trailer. And he summons Slifer and Dark Magician and everything, and it's got a lot going on. And I played it at E3, and I was so confused, like just from a pure sensory standpoint. Like I don't even know what I did. I just hit buttons and anime happened, and there was a bunch of explosions and people tagging out and tagging back in and screaming. And it was much in the way of like Dragon Ball FighterZ, but maybe even more incomprehensible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was anywhere near as good as Dragon Ball FighterZ, but it was way harder on fan service.
Yeah, it looks. I would say I like the art direction. I think the characters look cool, and they kind of look like action figures to me. And I think that looks really. I think it's a cool looking look.
Yeah.
I hope it plays. Like I would, that demo was hard to get a handle for it because the AI was really vicious and did not give you time to figure out the controls at all, and there was no tutorial, so you're very much thrown to the wolves. I hope it plays good because it's very much in the style of those Naruto games, Ultimate Ninja and the like, which I think are okay. Like I got bored of them pretty quick. Like you kind of play them for the novelty of like, oh, it's Naruto and I'm doing a Naruto thing, and then after that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm done. So it's very similar to that style. So I hope that there's a bit more depth to it than those games have. Otherwise, I might drop out of it pretty quick. I do want to play that story mode because that's that's the only place you get the Death Note characters because they are not playable fighters. And also just to see what the justification is for all these characters interacting.
Yeah.
I want to see Yugi talking to like Goku. I want to see them talk. Like, I want Yugi to explain why fighting with cards is better than like just punching a guy in the face, and Goku just being like, "What?"
Yeah, I want to see Yugi challenge a villain like Frieza to a children's card game.
Oh my god! Like he has to Slifer to because he summons because I think his attacks he summons Dark Magician Girl, and Slifer the Sky Dragon. Like those are basically his attacking things. They also have not announced his rival character because every character has like an antagonist.
It's gotta be Kaiba, right?
Rival. Yeah, right. It's gotta be, right? No, it's gotta be Kaiba.
I mean, they do.
That's such a layup.
I think they'll have more than like 2 characters per franchise. I'm willing to bet.
Yeah, they just haven't announced the other Yu-Gi-Oh person yet, whereas everyone else has at least 2. So
Watch,
it's gotta be Kaiba. If not Kaiba, even more so than Pegasus. I feel like. God, don't do that. It's like Mako Tsunami. Johnny Steps. Maybe Merrick? Because I feel like Merrick's probably the most... Well, either Merrick or Bakura. If you're going to go straight villain, I feel like it would be one of those 2.
I mean, probably Bakura.
I think... Yeah. I mean, I think they would both be fine, but I feel like if it's got to be anyone, it has to be Kaiba.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to hear I want to summon the Blue Eyes. I want to summon 3 Blue Eyes on like Luffy the Monkey or whatever his name is. And white lightning the hell out of him. So yeah, that game could be cool. I just hope it has the depth to kind of back up the crossover appeal.
Yeah.
So. All right, speaking of crossovers, this game comes out next month, God willing. It's Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's Kingdom Hearts. You already know if you like it.
I like Kingdom Hearts. Do you like Kingdom Hearts?
It's okay.
It's fair enough. So it's the same review as Anthem? It's okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I've played through half of the first game.
Did you already play Kingdom Hearts 3? Are you under NDA?
No. I just don't care. I don't care about Kingdom Hearts. I wish I did. It seems like a fun thing to care about and be super invested in.
It's a very complicated and complex thing, to care about. That lore is ridiculous.
I briefly considered playing through Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and then I looked at a Kingdom Hearts story summary on YouTube, and it was 55 minutes long. And I decided, nah, I'm good.
You could probably find shorter summary. I've seen shorter summaries than that. That person was being extra nerdy. They're giving you the lore behind, like, Aladdin.
They're just retelling the events of Aladdin.
In case you don't know who this Aladdin guy is. I'm not a Kingdom Hearts, like, fanboy. Like, I'm not one of the ones that, like... I forget the finer details of the lore in between every Kingdom Hearts release. I always have to kind of Wikipedia the little stuff. I remember, like, the very broad strokes of what's going on.
The little stuff, like the fact that 3 of the villains are just different time-traveled versions of the same villain.
Yeah, that gets pretty, that gets pretty hairy, and especially, like...
those little details.
I think that, and honestly, the hardest thing, and this is probably a detriment to the series, is remembering what the actual, like... What are we fighting exactly? Like, what's the big threat? Because it changes every game, or at least the villain changes, or takes different form or whatever. Of like, okay, so what's the problem?
So what is Kingdom Hearts?
Oh, like actual Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kingdom Hearts fans, if you're listening, please don't hate me, because I'm going to give you a very, like, off the top of my head, like, recollection of what it is, because I have not yet done my traditional, like, refresher of the series, because Kingdom Hearts 3 hasn't arrived yet. So, from what I remember, it's like I remember it was, like, represented by, like, an actual giant heart thing, and I think it's, like, a portal to, like, another realm that has, like, the power of hearts. Or something.
What does that mean, Marcus?
Like, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember.
Intangible details.
I remember the power of friendship. I remember in Kingdom Hearts 1, they would talk about, like, we have to get to Kingdom Hearts, or, like, Ansem. Ansem was the first villain, right? Yeah, and then Xehanort's the nobody of Ansem. And then... No. See, yeah, I'm already getting the 3 villains.
You've already lost, like, 50% of people. I don't know what a nobody is, so...
Wait. Oh wait, you never played Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, we can just skip. You don't have to answer this question. It's fine. I think my point is made.
I will say that yes, Kingdom Hearts. I've always argued that Kingdom Hearts 3 or Kingdom Hearts in general is the only video game like lore that rivals Metal Gear in sheer just complexity. So I will say I played Kingdom Hearts 3 at E3 this year. I thought I had a lot of fun. It is very much another Kingdom Hearts with some cool little tweaks. So if you don't like Kingdom Hearts, at least from what I played, I don't see anything that's going to change your mind about the series. But it looks really pretty. I'm excited for the addition of Pixar. And I played the Toy Story World at E3 and had fun with it. And like just of course, every Kingdom Hearts, the most exciting thing is just the Disney worlds that they're adding. And they've picked some really good ones. I like that they've dipped into like the modern era of Disney, because Disney has, at least in my mind, has really had a great modern kind of like the new renaissance they've been in with like Tangled and Frozen.
Do they ever just have a world that is like attempting to be a Disney, like a world that's not a Disney world but also isn't like a weird Final Fantasy world?
Well, they've never done the Final Fantasy world. The Final Fantasy aspect is literally just characters from Final Fantasy.
I didn't mean like a literal Final Fantasy world. I just meant like that's not like a weird in like that style.
Do you mean like a Disney themed world, but isn't explicitly based on maybe one movie.
Disney World. Like this is
like,
mammalian kingdom instead of like the animal
I mean, I
kingdom
guess
world
the main kingdom that the main kingdom that King Mickey lives in, because it's not like based on any world. It just has like that's where all the like Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Goofy like live, and then oh god, I forgot his name, the wizard from Fantasia, who's like a big character in Kingdom Hearts.
Does he have a name? I thought he was just the wizard.
He has a name in the game, and I think that's his official Disney name. Like, I never knew he had a name until playing Kingdom Hearts. I always referred to him as the wizard from Fantasia. But he, the one with the broom thing. Oh god, I forgot his name, but he has a name, and he actually is a very important character to the fiction. He's like something of a master guy in terms of the Keyblade stuff.
Let's just move on. Let's just move on. Whatever. My idle curiosity has already wasted enough of my time, your time, and the listeners' time.
Don't you want to know about the Keyblade Wars and all this other stuff?
No, I'm good.
Okay, but yes, Kingdom Hearts 3. It's January. January. It's like by the time this airs, it'll be like 2 weeks away, assuming it doesn't get delayed again. But this seems to be sticking just because of the way the kind of like trailer and pre-release hype has been really running right now. It seems like this is gonna stick. So I'm excited. Finally, after 10 years, actually over 10 years since 2, we're gonna get a third one. In quotations, because we've got another one since then. Anyway, next game, Left Alive. This is a new game set in the Front Mission universe.
Yeah, this game looks great, and I want to play it.
It looks cool. I've never played a Front Mission game, but I think this looks like something I would want to play.
It looks like Metal Gear Solid mixed with giant. It looks like Metal Gear Solid if the Metal Gears finally like were unleashed on the world and people were piloting them.
Pretty much. That's actually why I mentioned it. It gave me very heavy Metal Gear vibes.
I think it has the same, or at least the label artist is the same as the one that worked on the Metal Gears.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I forgot about that. So in case they really wanted to get my attention, that's one way to do it. But yeah, I don't really have much other to say about this game other than I'm interested in it, surprisingly, as someone that has no affinity for the universe that it's set in. So
yeah, same.
All right. Next up is the second episode of Life is Strange 2.
Are we just getting one a year now?
I mean, if they keep up with their release schedule, the game won't end until 2020 if they keep it up. Like, if this is the pattern they go with, then yeah, it legitimately won't end until 2020. That said, I finally played episode 1 just a few weeks ago, and I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was a very strong start.
It was like just that one episode was enough to be like one of my favorite games of 2018.
It's got some of my favorite moments of this year, I think. And I'm glad I played it as late as I did, because if I would have known it would have taken as long as it was, I'm kind of like, okay, I don't have to wait quite as long. So like, 'cause I forgot this game originally came out in September, so like that's a long time.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like forgetting stuff and just kind of just losing interest in general. Mm-hmm. That I'm enjoying how less cringy the writing is in terms of the dialogue. These feel more like genuine teens and like kids than like I like those first two games a lot. I like Life is Strange, but there are moments where like the dialogue felt like adults writing teens than just feeling like teens, where this one felt a lot more genuine, at least to me.
I think the first one was a very deliberate decision in an attempt to give the kids a more like a slightly nostalgic feel, where they would be saying like a weird catchphrase that went out of style several years ago, because even when the games were coming out, it was still set in like the early 2000s or something.
Yeah, or actually, I believe they were set,
or like 2010.
At least or like in game. I think they were set the year that they came out, or like the year prior. Just remembering going through those diaries, but the dialogue itself felt like relatively dated. Like, are we not saying hella anymore? Is that have we traded lit?
I say it now because of that game. So.
Oh, okay. Well, now you gotta start saying lit now.
I do.
Okay,
I have to keep up with the kids, Marcus. Someone the other day thought I was had to ask if I was over 20. So I guess I need to keep hip with the kids because I'm definitely over 20.
I get that too until I make a really old 90s reference and then I immediately shut that all down. Like, hey, are you like 21? And I'm like, yeah, you guys ever heard of gargoyles? And they're like, oh, what, old man? I'm like, never mind. Remember Tailspin?
Your knee-jerk reaction is just to bring up gargoyles?
Just some old, like, man, you guys
like
remember Darkwing Duck?
Someone approaching you on the street. Hey, how's it going? Remember gargoyles?
Yeah, then maybe I'll get a high five like hell yeah, gargoyles, bro. if they're my age. But yeah, Life is Strange 2, much darker than the first game, at least at the start. Much more, it feels more grounded. It's very timely in terms of like some of the messages.
Subject matter.
Yeah, subject matter is dealing with. I like the brothers a lot so far, just because they. I think personally, I have two friends that remind me very much of them. They are also Hispanic, and like because of that, that's why I felt more grounded. Like, oh yeah, I could see them acting like this because it's. And, like, the whole thing with the dad, who, thankfully, for the first time, isn't, like, a shitbag.
Yeah, cool. That was nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, this dad's actually good at his job. That's nice to see, and then he immediately dies.
I'm super excited to see where this goes, because, like, both the story was really good, and also the gameplay was really good. Like... I don't think I have agonized as much over a decision in a video game as I did when you get to about midway through the first episode and you have, like, depending on your decisions that you've made throughout the rest of the episode, you have a certain amount of money and you have to decide whether or not you're going to shoplift or what you're going to buy in this convenience store in the middle of nowhere. And
I was in that store for such a long time because I was thinking, like, it was like the thing of like, I gotta steal because we gotta survive. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do. At the same time, like, especially, when you find out that you're kind of like wanted, basically. Mm-hmm. Like, do I want to add fuel to that fire of being a criminal in case like that? If I get caught later and they want to use stuff against me, do I want to like justify getting arrested or anything? I will say though, I did try to steal that tent. And I was glad that because I was wondering, like, how the fuck am I gonna steal that? And then you can't. I was like, okay, you can't. I was thinking, like, there is no way I can walk out of here with this. And like, I was trying to steal all the big stuff. I was like, okay, because eventually I just said, screw it, we gotta live. I think the only thing I stole was the Choco Bar.
Okay.
Because that was easy. And I promised them that I would do it because I didn't take it from the car. But yeah, I like the brothers. I like the little interactions with them feel really sweet, and like that game I think is genuinely emotional. Like, did you call your friend at the end? When he has to get rid of his phone?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I did too. I felt like I could not do it. I did think about it for a while. It's like, but then I felt like I feel like a terrible person because he's kind of up and left, and his friends have no idea what has happened to him. And I was like, I don't think I would do that. Like that, especially because you didn't do anything wrong.
Well, and so there's all of that amazing drama, and then on top of it, it ends on the cliffhanger of superpowers. So like,
I love the way the kid. I love
here?
The way that the kid found out too. We're spoiling the hell out of that first episode in case it wasn't clear. Sorry, but yeah, like I like that the supernatural stuff is back. 'Cause I kind of missed that in Before the Storm. And it seems cool. Like, I like how it seems like less of a thing you can control because it's not the protagonist that has it. It's your companion.
Yeah.
So it's a little more unpredictable in terms of like like in that first episode, like you don't know when it's going to happen. And I think that's, at least in that first episode, it's used to good effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super pumped for episode 2. I like I said, we're both on the same page. If you have not played Life is Strange 2 yet, one, I hope we didn't spoil the shit out of it for you. But either still, you should still play that game because it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
You can always put edit in a spoiler warning.
Yeah, you could do that too. So, or you could purge your memory of everything we just said. So
Men in Black style.
Yep, it's in New Elijah's in the mail. There's a new Men in Black. There's a new Men in Black movie, by the way. Anyways,
bisexual icons, the two of
them. Moving on. I forgot this was happening. Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah.
I haven't played those other two. Or I've only played bits and pieces of the first game. I never played Dark Moon. I would love to play both of them, especially now that both are on one platform, that being the 3DS. I will probably do that next year before this comes out, but I think that's super cool. Why not?
Yeah.
It's for Switch. That wasn't clear.
I'm really glad that they're doing another Luigi's Mansion because honestly, the first game's great, but it's about like 4 hours long. So
yeah, I've heard the second one is much better.
I mean, the first one's great. It's just you want more of it, and so I'm glad that they're giving it not just like a handheld treatment, but like a full console release.
And it's another first-party game on Switch, which actually, looking at the Switch's first party, they got quite a slate. It's kind of rivaling a bit their first year.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not? Luigi's Mansion 3. Cool beans. Next up, we've got Man of Medan. This is Supermassive's next game, and it's part of what is going to be their like horror trilogy. If you remember, Supermassive is behind. Yeah. They are the team behind Until Dawn and The Inpatient and all the other Until Dawn related media.
So this is the first of like they're basically doing like a mini series of horror short games, right?
Yeah, I'm looking up what the actual name of that series is gonna be called. It's like Dark Chronicles or something.
Like the Dark Light.
The Dark Pictures. That's
the
what
Dark
it's called.
Pictures. Okay.
Yeah, so this will be game 1 of that. The Dark Pictures Anthology, and it's basically about ghosts or something.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm down.
What? Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of Until Dawn right now for the first time.
I honestly think more game developers should do stuff like this because then you can tell very directed stories in an interesting interactive format, and you don't have to be like, spreading it out over 60 hours or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be in VR like the other like post Until Dawn stuff was, or at least not like exclusively VR. I believe this will just be a normal, I guess, quote unquote normal game. But sure, Supermassive have just been farting out games left and right, it seems. They did those 2 Until Dawn things, and then they did the like army shooter thing that was also in VR. And they both came out like around the same time. They've been they're busy bees over there.
Yeah, they're kind of on a roll.
Yeah, good for them. Speaking of on a roll, actually, that's a terrible segue. It doesn't make any sense. But you know what? I'm excited for this next one because there's a new Marvel Ultimate Alliance coming out. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. The Black Order. And you know what's crazy? It's exclusively for the Switch.
Whoa! That's too crazy.
Yes, this was announced at the Game Awards. The trailer. And it looks cool. Alright, so it looks like it's, at least initially, it looks like it's kind of got the MCU vibes with it. Though it does have, like, the X-Men and stuff in it. I don't think it'll be strictly, like, MCU themed, like, in terms of, like, the roster. I mean, I think we have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite as an example of not to do that, among other things. But it looks like it's still, very much looks like a new one of those, like, 4-player Diablo-esque action RPG. They all have the little circles under them. You're going around beating the crap out of stuff. The trailer they showed was more cinematic, so it didn't really show like gameplay, or at least the angles were cinematic. So it looked like it was very intimate and up close. So it almost looked like a normal action game and not like the kind of like top-down multiplayer thing that those games are. Though it's gonna be that. But yeah, the craziest thing about, I mean, other than that, this is happening because 2 was like 2010, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's almost a full Kingdom Hearts game of development time.
Yeah, like an entire console generation. Oh no, I guess not, because that was last generation. But you know what I'm saying. But and that it's Nintendo Switch, and it will not be ported because Nintendo is publishing this. They are, much like Bayonetta, they are throwing the money behind this thing. They are making it happen.
I think they have finally learned their mistake with the Wii U and the Wii and the GameCube and just the general lack of meaningful third-party support. And they've been doing a good job with the whole publishing thing.
I mean, it also helps having a console that people actually want and have.
Yeah, I mean,
people.
Granted,
Wii,
people did that with the Wii, yeah.
Though that was a different kind of pitch for that thing.
Yeah, a different beast.
Yeah, but yeah, this was probably argued the biggest pure surprise of the Game Awards for me. I was like, where did this come from? It's like the double whammy of like, what the hell? And then what? It's only on Switch. Which, you know, I have a Switch, so I'm cool. Yeah, well, sure, why not? I just hope this is good. It's not Raven who did the other, the older ones, I believe, and like X-Men Legends. I forgot who's making this. But I'm so happy that this is happening. This is such a left field thing. And if you don't have a Switch, I'm sorry. That sucks, but
yeah,
you know, Berserker Barrage. That's all I'm gonna say.
Suckle on this capitalist tit.
Yes, we'll go back to that. All right, next up, another game I'm super jazzed about is the remake of Medieval.
Yeah,
I love the Medieval. Medieval is one of my favorite PS1 games. I beat that game multiple times as a kid. I just loved it a lot. I take it you're a fan as well?
I'm not like a huge fan, but like I want to play it again, you know?
Yeah.
It's been so long and I have generally fond memories of it, so I'm just kind of like, you know, if this is the nostalgia train we're on, then I'm totally on board.
Same. I had a phase where I would imitate Sir Daniel, just like and just annoy people with that. Yeah, this game is pretty much it's not just like an up-res of the original game. It's actually, they are gonna tweak some stuff with it. So it's more of a remake than a remaster. I guess kind of like in the vein of the Shadow of the Colossus remake from earlier this year, where they went back and modernized the controls a bit. Which is, you know, that's cool. I haven't played the original Medieval in a long time, so I have no idea how those original controls will hold up. But just watching that trailer and seeing all these like locations that I just have fond memories of and seeing them look nice, I mean, that just made me smile. And I just being able to sit down with that game again and like a nicer version of that, like, excites me so much. I think Medieval is one of the best kind of like, I guess, cult classics of the PS1 era. And I think it'd be cool. If you've never played it, I highly recommend it. So that's all I got for that. Can't wait for it. You like that Metro?
I do like that Metro. Speaking of trains.
Yeah, we got a Metro Exodus, which was also supposed to come out this year and it got delayed. Yeah, I like those first two games a lot. I think they're really cool narrative survival shooters. They're really unique, and this looks really good.
Yeah, I'm still planning to eventually do a best games period episode about those games. Because both of them are just really, really good, and I'm excited about more in that series because I kind of thought it was dead after the second one, but I guess the remaster must have sold well enough that a third game is in the works.
Yeah, and if you never play them, play that remaster, because if you have Game Pass, they're both there. So no excuse, go for it. Yeah. So I guess that's all we can say is that that game looks exceptional. And then we move on to one of probably my top 5 games of next year in terms of hype is Mortal Kombat 11.
Yay!
I think I've established this, Jack. Mortal Kombat. It's one of my favorite series of all time. It's my favorite fighting game series. By default, they could just put a picture up of the dragon and the number 11, and I'd be hyped without seeing anything. I mean, they still haven't shown gameplay. It was just that cool cinematic trailer from the Game Awards. But kind of the idea, at least in terms of what they talked about, is that it's just like time travel will be a thing. Because in that trailer, they showed like Raiden fighting Scorpion and then killing Scorpion, but then like MK1 or 2 era Scorpion showed up and killed Raiden. So, I mean, the series has not shied away from time travel in the past, so that's not necessarily a new concept. But also we're in the Dark Raiden era, so we're kind of like in Mortal Kombat, like Deadly Alliance, Deception territory, if they keep going in the kind of the linear direction they've gone in since the reboot. But there's supposed to be like a live stream sometime in the middle of January to kind of do the full reveal in terms of like what this will be, and then the game itself launches in April. But kind of sticking to the form of the kind of release cycle of like every 2 years, like Injustice or Mortal Kombat, in every April or every other April, that retains that. And yeah, I'm psyched. I want to finish people some more.
Heh.
Is that okay?
I couldn't think of anything adult to respond to finishing people, so I did a little lecherous laugh. Anyway,
here's onto something completely
I'm sorry
different.
you invited me on your podcast, Marcus.
No, are you having like you're regretting yourself coming on?
No, I'm just I've already I have the mindset of a 5-year-old.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Oh, I need to know what the kids think about the hot new games. So you
right
need to tell
now,
me.
I guess right now they're laughing and snickering at you saying finishing someone.
Yeah,
anyway.
Is Mortal Kombat 11 lit? Is it lit? Is it lit AF?
It's hella rad.
Alright, that's tubular, bro. We're so cool. Anyways.
How about them? How about gargoyles?
I've heard it's a great show. There's one guy that dresses in a gargoyle mech suit. He's like Tony Stark, but in a gargoyle. That's pretty cool. I just realized that actually is what that character basically is. I don't think that dawned on me until now. Alright, on to something that's could not be further from Mortal Kombat 11 in terms of just tone, is Ori and the Will of the Wisp. The sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which was the Xbox-only kind of platformer Metroidvania that had the gorgeous art style and was actually pretty damn hard. But I loved it, and it's still one of my favorite games of this generation. There's like another one, and it looks as beautiful and somber as that first one. And pretty much looks the same in terms of gameplay. Like, if you played that first game, you're getting another one of those. There's a few new abilities, but it's largely that game again, which, sure, I'll play it easily.
Yeah, you can get 2 games out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the owl is sad. You get to see the owl graveyard in the trailer, and the sad music makes it cry. So we got to find out. We got to help that owl, and I'm all for it. Speaking of owls, maybe I don't know yet. We'll see. But there's a new Pokemon game for Switch.
Yeah,
And it's a full-fledged RPG.
And that's all we know about it.
That's literally all we know. Like, that's it. It doesn't even have a name yet. We don't even know if it's going to be a new generation of Pokemon or if it's just going to be the existing ones. I would imagine it's a new one if it's like a new RPG, because that's what, every time there's a new RPG, there's a new generation. So maybe there's a new owl Pokemon to go alongside Hoot Hoot and his other evolved form, Noctowl?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. And then
it's just
there's
those...
that. No, there's the other owl. It was a starter. The grass starter.
Is a grass owl?
Yeah.
Is this like recent or?
I mean, relatively recent. Like.
We don't have Odell on here to confirm this. Okay, we'll call him Grissowl.
I don't think that's correct, but sure.
All right, well, Grissowl, leaf out. I don't know. Owl leaf.
Leaf them out of this.
So there's a blue Pokemon RPG for Switch, and that's a big deal because this will be the first console Pokemon RPG, I guess ever, at least like a traditional RPG, or I guess technically Pokemon Let's Go is that.
It's Rowlet.
Rowlet? That sounds like a dog name.
It's like a cute little owl thing. It has like
I'm not saying it's not.
Like a
it's
leaf
just the
for
name.
A bow tie.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I know that guy. I didn't know his name. Rowlet? That sounds like something for a dog, not an owl. What if you just why not just take the R out and name it Owlet?
Because you gotta have that R to give it a dangerous edge.
I mean, it's wearing a bow tie. It loses all its edge as soon as you look at it. So, that's not helping. But yeah, I hope. I'm genuinely excited for this. I'm not a Pokemon like fanboy. I really only have affinity for the first generation, and I know some Pokemon since then, but like those first three, like Red, Blue, and Yellow, are the only games I've beaten. Well, actually, I beat Platinum on a whim, but that's about it. But I've always wanted like basically Red and Blue on a console, which I guess we just got with Pokemon Let's Go, but you get what I'm saying. I want like a brand new, like a new game, like not like new Pokemon, new region, new stuff on a console and not a handheld. That was the one thing I was waiting for to get me back into the series. So if they did like a Breath of the Wild, but Pokemon, that would be incredible to me in terms of like scope. So, and I would be all over that like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, I just want to know what that thing is at this. I really want to know what that is. So, get pumped, Poke fans, Poke maniacs, Professor Oak.
But not too pumped, because it might be a Gale of Darkness situation.
Oh, is that game bad?
Yeah, it's real bad.
That's the GameCube one, right?
Yep.
Doesn't it have Lugia on the cover?
It was so bad that they haven't attempted to do a console Pokemon game until now.
Was that an RPG or was that like a Coliseum style thing?
It was an RPG.
But not like a RPG, like not like a Red and Blue or Gold, like not that style. Like
yeah, not
like
that
not
style.
That formula.
No.
Oh, okay.
Mixed it up a little bit.
And failed.
It did.
Speaking of, what's the segue here? Speaking of mixing it up, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Psychonauts 2.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
I love the first game. I'm a big fan of that game. It's not perfect, but I like that world and that story, and I think it's funny. That was confirmed at the Game Awards for 2019. We'll see if it sticks to that, but the gameplay footage that they showed, I think, during one of their little, like, Double Fine's little dev videos looked really, really nice.
It does look nice, and it looks like it plays pretty nice, so...
It does. Like, the platforming in that game was okay. It was totally serviceable, not perfect, but just having years to kind of reflect on that and perfect that makes me excited for, like, if that game plays as good as, like, a Mario with that, like, cool world, that could be something special.
Heck yeah.
And I'm excited to see all the crazy new brains they get into and the minds. I am all over that game. I also need to get a PSVR so I can play that Rhombus of Ruin, the kind of like bridge between those two games that's only in VR.
Is it? I don't know that it's a bridge.
No, it is.
No, it is. Well, okay. Sucks to be you if you don't have VR then.
I don't know how narratively important it is, but I know it like bridges the gap between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah. 2019 Psychonauts. You've already said you kind of don't care about this, but it's Rage 2. Has that opinion changed in the last few minutes?
No.
Have you gained an appreciation for Rage 2? Did you like
I didn't care about the first one. I don't care about the second one, and
it's pretty wacky.
Is it?
Did you not hear the crazy music and the neon and the like?
It certainly wants you to think that it's wacky.
It looks pretty ridiculous. Did you like Borderlands? That's kind of seems like what this is sort of going for a little bit.
Borderlands is okay.
Just totally. Yeah, Borderlands is good. It's very different gameplay, but style. I don't know. I like I said, I didn't really play much of Rage 1, so Rage 2 will pretty much be my intro to the series, but I am more interested in it in this than I was looking at Rage 1, where I was mainly impressed by the tech of it at the time. I feel like this could be like a dark horse for like a really cool thing in just terms of like pure dumb fun. And I'm not expecting any sort of meaningful plot. I'm just going to this like I just want a fun thing where I can go shoot people and do dumb stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it'll deliver on that end. Hopefully, it'll be better than Far Cry.
Yeah.
In terms of like the battles of two shooters going for kind of similar things, but Rage 2 at least doesn't have the baggage of like this really disappointing. Well, I guess it sort of kind of does that. I think. Well,
I guess I'm kind of in the position where it's like there are just so many games coming out that why waste time playing a mediocre to forgettable one, you know?
You're right. I mean, hopefully Rage 2 surprises us and winds up being something more than, I guess, what we kind of think it might be. I think it has potential. I will say that. Here's a game that has more than potential because it's been proven already. It's a remake of Resident Evil 2. And that comes out very soon. I think it's actually January, I believe.
Oh.
But I'm a big fan of Resident Evil 2. That's my favorite of the older school Resident Evil games. So a remake, A-okay with that. I've been waiting on that game to get remade forever because that remake of 1 that came to GameCube and then eventually to this generation is real good. And I was like, man, they should just do this for 2. And then decades later, they're finally doing it. But it's in the Resident Evil 4 style instead of just doing that game but nicer looking. Which, that works too because Resident Evil 4 is my favorite Resident Evil. So, I'm winning basically all around here.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yes, thank you, Diddy. And, yeah. You a Resident Evil fan? I feel like we touched on this before with you, but
I'm a casual Resident Evil fan. I really liked Resident Evil 4, and I played through 5 and 6.
Did you like 7?
I played a little bit of 7. I haven't really gotten the time to sit down and really buckle in and play 7.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of on my to-do list at some point. Probably when like the Rage 2s and all of those come out, where I'm just kind of like, oh, I have other things I could do.
Yeah, well, Resident Evil is very soon. It's January 25th.
Yeah.
So it'll come out before all those.
Yeah. And Resident Evil 2 I have never played, but the
really?
remaster looks really nice. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Okay. Has it been spoiled for you at all?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I was gonna say, I'd be impressed if you somehow just didn't know, like, outside of, like, the premise, like, any, like, major story beats or anything from that game, but whatever. At least it'll still be fun to play and maybe scary, freak you out or whatever. Okay. Next up, another game that was announced at the Game Awards. Sayonara Wild Hearts. This game looks cool.
I don't know this one.
This is also for Nintendo Switch, and it's a rhythm, like, music dream with ladies on motorcycles, and it's got kind of this neon animated look, and you're, like, skateboarding and dancing and doing all this weird, crazy crap, and it looks really wacky and crazy, but I think music is kind of at the heart of it, and the trailer, you should look it up at some point.
This looks really cool. Yeah.
Oh, are you already looking it up?
I looked up some images, yeah.
Okay, I just found it's described as a pop album video game.
Cool. I'm down.
It's a music video game about being awesome, riding motorcycles, skateboarding, dance battling, shooting lasers, wielding swords, and breaking hearts at 200 miles per hour.
Sweet, I'm there.
Gimme. Me too. Gimme. And your lady's wearing a mask. In case she looks like Robin or the Lone Ranger. Like every game is set to a stage of, or like every stage is set to a song of like this original music, like pop music. But I guess it's primarily, technically a music game. But yeah, it looks cool. And yeah, it's coming exclusively to Switch sometime 2019.
Cool. What's next?
Sea of Solitude is next.
Yes, I'm excited for this one. This is probably one of my biggest indie hypes.
This was an EA's thing at E3, wasn't it? I think it was like the only EA game we cared about.
Yeah, it was really the only thing they showed that looked remotely interesting last year. Or this year.
Or it was this year, actually, right? Yeah.
It's like almost last year, Marcus. You can give me a pass.
That's true. I guess it'll be last year by the time everyone listens to this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a girl in like a boat, if I remember correctly, and it's got this really nice kind of like animated art style, and I guess it's like a I don't even remember what the overarching plot. I just remember you're a girl in a boat and you're exploring places.
It's basically, I think she lives in a world where everything's underwater and also everyone's infected with this weird disease, and she's succumbing to the infection as she looks for a cure. And I think that's kind of the basic premise. And so she's like scavenging ruins and avoiding these giant mutated monsters in the depths. And
it's really pretty looking.
There are zombies, and it looks really cool.
It does. It's EA. It's an EA original, so I guess it's the second one. 'Cause I think the first one was Faye from earlier this year, or last year, which was not very good. So hopefully this is better. But I think like just artistically, it looks really captivating, and I'm psyched for this. I hope this works out and it's not another Faye, basically. So next up, another game I'm super excited about: Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
Yup.
From Software's new game. It's got ninja samurais, or I guess he's a ninja, but he's fighting samurai? I don't even know. But he's basically like a ninja, and it's kind of Soulsy, but faster. So it's almost like... It's like they looked at the pitch for Neo, which was like ninja faster Dark Souls, and then the Dark Souls people did that thing. So it's like a weird full circle. Yeah,
I'm interested in how they're gonna handle progression in that game, because it's not an RPG. It's an action game. And
it's got more platforming, because you got like a rope thing that you can like, there's like a sense of verticality to it in the combat where you're like grappling around like elevated platforms and stuff.
It basically looks like Ninja Gaiden, but new and updated and more interesting. Which is cool. I'm wondering if it's going to hit right with the Dark Souls audience, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I'm a Dark Souls fan, and I loved Bloodborne to death. So I'm like I said before with Code Vein, I'm always looking for different spins on that formula, especially from the Dark Souls team.
So Scuttlebutt is they're also working on Bloodborne 2, and so they actually have 2 unannounced projects that they're working on at the moment.
Yeah.
And one of those is rumored to be Bloodborne 2, and no one really knows what the next one is. And then they have Shadows Die Twice and something else that they announced. I can't remember what that is.
What if it was Demon Souls 2?
That'd be pretty cool.
They just did Demon Souls again, like just the weird like hub area and having to go to the different worlds instead of just all being interconnected.
A remaster of Demon Souls?
I mean, they already shut down the servers. It'd be weird, like, shut them down and like, okay, we're opening again for a new one. But, yeah, okay, that's cool. I'm down for more Bloodborne, but I am also very much down for this. This looks really, really cool. And this also comes out, I think, in the first half of this year, if I remember correctly. Quick search! So I'm pretty sure I got, like, a window. But I know it's coming sooner than later. Yeah, March 22nd. Crap. Too many games. That and Devil May Cry in the same month. Alright. We're in the home stretch now. Shenmue 3. I've never played Shenmue, so I got nothing. I recently bought that collection with the first 2 games, so I'm gonna play those at some point. But other than, oh cool, it's cool that they're doing this after so long, but I've got no attachment to the series. Are you a Shenmue fan?
No, and I honestly don't know who it's for, because I think the people who remember it don't really want to go and play it again.
I mean, it was crowdfunded, so evidently there are people out there that threw money, literally paid to make this happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like people are gonna get it, and it's not gonna be what they like.
What a depressing.
I'm sorry.
No. Listen, if you paid your money, you blew it, basically. Is what Jack's saying. Get your money back before it's too late. I mean, I'm more curious to see if it actually does come out this year. It was supposed to come out last year. Hopefully it sticks to that, just for fans. I will get to those 2 games, and then I'll be able to determine if I care or not about this. But cool that it's happening, hopefully. Our next pirate game, Skull and Bones. Remember this?
Yeah, it's that Vikings.
No.
As far as I recall, my initial impression, it looks like For Honor, but with pirates.
It is Ubisoft. It's actually, if I remember correctly, it's the Black Flag team, basically doing Black Flag, but taking out all the Assassin's Creed crap, and it's just pure pirates.
Except I felt like it had an MMO quality to it, where people were like with the different pirate factions.
Yes. It's like, basically, it's like a Sea of Thieves, but instead of like multiple people controlling one ship, it's just one person commanding just an entire ship. So like Assassin's Creed, like you yourself run the whole ship, and you're competing with other players, and there's a single player, like there is a story and stuff like that. I guess like For Honor. But yeah, I guess that's a good comparison. It's like more or less kind of that For Honor framework, but with pirates. If nothing else, the sailing should be great because it's Black Flag, and this, those games are always fun to sail around and get in pirate battles. I'm just wondering if because I'm really gonna only care about the single player narrative stuff and see if that holds up. And, maybe I'll play with other people, but that's kind of my only real interest in it. So, this was also delayed because it was supposed to come out this year and then didn't. So, but, yep, in case you forgot about Skull and Bones, there's another pirate game in case Atlas makes your PC catch fire. And here's a game next up. Man, we are, like I said, we're in the home stretch. Here's a game that had a really weird announcement in terms of just how nonchalant and with zero fanfare. Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order.
A, bad name. B, there's no way that's coming out this year.
According to EA's website, it says 2019.
I just very much
in
doubt
fact,
it.
they even have the window. It says holiday 2019.
It's possible. I don't think it's happening. It's just my gut feeling.
You don't believe oh god, what's his face? Respawn guy, because this is Respawn.
Vince Zampella.
Yeah, remember at EA's thing, he was sitting in the chair and he just kind of just said, "Oh yeah, this is happening. like I said, a weird way to.
I don't think he said it was holiday 2019. I think he literally just said it exists.
Oh no, I mean EA has since on their website, like it's literally listed as holiday 2019 on the little page for the game.
I think it's gonna be delayed.
I mean, it could very well be, but I don't know. EA games, you really hear a lot of like, do EA games really get delayed?
It's a Star Wars game by Respawn, though. I feel like it's gonna get delayed.
Or it's gonna get canceled because it's a
too.
Star Wars. It's a Star Wars game that's not entirely multiplayer focused. Those games don't come out anymore. If it's not Battlefront or the Old Republic, if you have anything that's a single player game, something bad's gonna happen to you. Respawn's gonna close. Oh gosh, I shouldn't say that. But damn it, if it's gonna be like, wouldn't that be crazy if it was like another visceral situation with Respawn?
It's gonna be.
Don't say that because we need Titanfall 3. That's supposed to happen at some point. Titanfall 2 was so good. But yeah, we don't know anything about this whatsoever. Or actually, we only know what the description on the website was. But other than that, it's, there's been no footage. Like, literally, all you see is Vince's face in his chair with the cap saying, like, hey, yeah, we're working on this. Just letting you know, it's no big deal. It's just another Star Wars game that's not, that isn't Battlefront. So by default, maybe you should get excited. Yeah, on the official page, they describe it as. Also, you're right about that name. I keep thinking it's Star Wars : Jedi Fallen Order, but it's Star Wars Jedi, that sounds weird to me. I feel like it should be Star Wars : Jedi Fallen Order, right?
I mean, it feels like it just should be Star Wars : Fallen Order.
That too.
What other orders?
Or what about Fallen Jedi Order? Wouldn't that make sense too? Like Fallen, because it's the to describe the order that fell. Because it's set in between
Star Wars Fallen Jedi.
Yeah, that works too. So it's an action adventure game that tells an original Star Wars story around a surviving Padawan set shortly after the events of Star Wars Episode 3. The game will be releasing holiday 2019. And that's all it says on the page outside of sign up for our newsletter. So, yeah, in between episode 3, so you're a Padawan that has escaped Order 66, at least for the moment. Cool. I mean, I like Respawn. Titanfall 2 went a long way in terms of, like, affirming my faith that they could pull off a cool single-player thing. So, I'm optimistic. I want to see what that team can do with that license and an original story. So I think that it has potential. That's about all I got.
I mean, all the pieces are there for it to be good. But we literally know nothing about it, so.
Yeah, hopefully it does not get canceled. It just has to survive to release. That alone will be the bigger accomplishment than if it's good or not. If it can actually be the one Star Wars game that actually sees the light of day after and stepping over the corpses of all the other promising looking Star Wars games. Oh god. How do you feel about Super Meat Boy Forever?
I really love Team Meat, and I think they're brilliant game designers, so I'm optimistic. It looks like it could be a better version of Super Meat Boy, which I'm interested in seeing explored.
How do you feel about the auto runner aspect of it? Because that's like the big thing is that this is an auto runner, and it looks like it could be fun. It's just like, initially I was kind of turned off. I was like, oh, I don't know if I want that. I thought it would just be another Meat Boy. But then watching it, you're like, okay, this
looks
could be
fun.
Yeah, it does look fun. I love Super Meat Boy. I just need to play to see, like, do I have as much control? Because like that first game for me is so much fun because of just the idea of having 100% control and feeling like every action I did, like all my skill helped me conquer all those insane challenges. And I guess losing some of that control for something as hard as Meat Boy just kind of makes me worried, I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting... I guess I kind of applaud them for taking a different direction and not just doing another one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a gamble, it feels like, for sure. But it does look fun. just based on the trailers. So, it'll be interesting to see, considering if we've had so many kind of Meat Boy inspired platformers since then. It's been a long time since that first game came out. And there's been stuff like Celeste and all this other games kind of in the similar ilk since then. To see if it still stacks up to those. But yeah, looks good. Hopefully. We'll see. I might be the only one that kind of cares about this, but maybe you will. Team Sonic Racing? I played it at E3. It was buggy as shit, which is probably why it got delayed out of last year and is now coming out this year. So at least they didn't release it. I give them credit for recognizing, like, hey, this still needs some work. But I thought the one before that is actually a pretty solid kart racer. I think it's All-Star Racing's Transform. It's actually pretty good. Which I remember being surprised as hell by. So this one has a cool, like, thing where you're, like, teaming each other. So it's kind of like instead of, like, racing against... I mean, you're racing against people, but it's, like, teams of 3. So it's, like, you... And it's like pre-made teams. So it's like Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. And the 3 of you, like, you're racing to first place, but you're not racing your other teammates. You're, like, helping each other. And the way you win is not so much if you come in first, but, like, if your team does well overall. So it's like a cumulative score. So, like, if you come in first, if, like, Tails and Knuckles come in last, then you're not going to win, depending on how everyone else did. So you kind of have to help them get to, like, a good race, like a good standing or finish too. So you have all these power-ups that kind of like assist people. You can go faster if you like drive behind them, so it kind of encourages like staying together. And yeah, all the power-ups are geared towards cooperation, where like you can choose to either use a power-up or give it to like another member. Like, okay, like I'm in first, so I don't need this, so I'll throw it to you, so maybe you can catch up. I think that stuff is pretty cool, and I liked when I played at E3, it was just buggy. That's kind of my only main complaint, was that it was buggy as shit. But I think it's a novel idea, which you kind of need for that genre at this point.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of Onrush in a way, where like kind of like, at least in the sense of like not necessarily like, it's not about just you. It's kind of like you having to work within, trying to articulate this, like it's more about what's going on during, like, in the pack, more so than like just trying to outrace everyone. Like sometimes you do need to hang back a bit for the benefit of the team.
Yeah, it messes with the core concept of what a racing game is.
It does, and it took me a while to get used to, because immediately I was like, I gotta be first. I was like, oh, actually I should probably slow down because Knuckles needs this thing or whatever. Could be cool. That's all I got. Could be cool. You know what could be cool too? The Division 2. Tom Clancy's The Division 2, if you want to go to full title, but The Division 2.
I think one of the problems I have when I look at a lot of the games that are coming out in 2019 is I'm just so uninvested in these properties. Like,
yeah. Did you play the first game at all?
No. And so I'm probably not going to play the second one. It looked uninspiring and just bland and not great. It's all, a lot of it premised on betraying other players in multiplayer, and
I thought that element was kind of interesting, like just conceptually, like the Dark Zone and like kind of playing into the post-apocalyptic thing of like having to like scavenge to survive by kind of being an asshole. But
yeah, but like, it's one thing if it's like out of necessity and like getting that, but like I guess to like get that across, you should be able to do that all the time, not just in the Dark Zone. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off track. It's just I don't care. I don't care about it. It could be a good game. The first one might even be a good game now after all the updates.
I've heard it's gotten much better.
I just don't care.
I've been meaning to check it out because it's on Game Pass, and I probably will before the second one, just to get a handle on what to see if I like it enough to be interested in the second game. I remember playing the beta when it launched, but I didn't play enough to really have an opinion on it. Yeah, it could be cool. The demos or whatever that they shown, mainly because it was the typical Ubisoft multiplayer demo of people talking like no one talks in real life. being very like I enjoyed it for that because I like the Ubisoft multiplayer demos are my like hitting guilty pleasure at any like E3 or thing, because it's just like people under the guise of being normal friends talking like they're Navy SEALs, which no one ever does, but like, hey, yeah, all right, watch my six. I was like, I don't think I've ever said that to anyone or have had anyone say that to me in a squad thing. All right, man, watch my six. All right, we're gonna breach and all this. Like, no, we'd just be talking about either nothing related to the game. Like, hey, did you guys see Spider-Man? The movie is pretty good. Oh yeah, and just doing dicky stuff. So, there should be like a voice pack or something, like where you get the like squad command, like you could play with the devs or something. I don't know where I'm getting at with that, but yeah, Division 2, it's happening. It could be cool. This could be cool too if it actually happens at the date. Is The Good Life, which is Square's kickstarted game that as of now is supposed to launch in 2019. That could change because of the nature of crowdfunding, but it is set for 2019.
I guarantee you it's not going to release in 2019.
You don't think it's I know it's successfully funded, right? Now they're just kind of working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole lot more to that game that needs to be done.
More cats?
More cats, more dogs.
Oh yeah, they added dogs too. Oh yeah, in case you're not aware of what this is, it's like you play as a photographer who I think has to pay off a debt, if I remember correctly. So she is like a photographer. I think I said that. Yeah, she has to pay off a debt. She goes to some town, and then the town has this weird secret where at night everybody turns into cats or dogs, but I think it's cats mostly. And she has to figure out for this newspaper why this is happening, primarily to pay off her debt.
I don't think anyone knows that it's happening. I like it's like a weird double life situation, but she knows.
Okay, so like the town is unaware that they become cats?
Yeah, but she's there to like cover and unravel the secret behind a murder.
Oh yeah, that's right. Somebody got killed too, on top of the weird cat transformation.
There's like a horrible murder that happened in town.
I feel like, would your priorities change in terms of the investigation? Like, should I investigate this murder or why everyone is fucking turning into cats? What's the bigger story here?
I don't know, but
I assume they're connected.
I like the life sim aspect of the game, and like being a photographer and going around town and like getting pictures and scoops and stuff, and paying off the debt and like buying accessories or whatever for the character and the camera, and I don't know, I like all that.
It's like Judgment. Very similar games. You're taking pictures, investigator. She is these may as well be the same game. Maybe Judgment, the plot twist is like the villain turns into a cat at night. I don't know. I mean, Yakuza, they could probably get away with that. But this looks weird, which is part of course because it's sweary. I want to play it just because of how just bonkers the concept is.
I'm glad it found success in crowdfunding, because I know it had a crowdfunding campaign before the Kickstarter one that failed. So
yeah, it's, round 2 paid off. I think it was on Fig too as well.
Yeah,
I think Fig was the first one and then Kickstarter, or did it go? Okay. Yeah. This looks delightfully quirky. It's a good way to say it.
Agreed.
All right. The Outer Worlds. This is a big one. This is Obsidian's next big budget RPG that was announced at the Game Awards. This is what they've been working on in between, I guess, Pillars of Eternity. Did you see this trailer from the Game Awards?
I did not, but is it exclusive to Xbox now that they've been bought by Xbox or Microsoft?
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't think so. That's a great question, actually. I completely forgot about the Obsidian Xbox thing. I think because they announced that at the XO thing, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch that, so that's why I forgot about it. I'm looking that up now. That's a really great question. But yeah, basically, it looks like it's a first-person open-world game. It's like Fallout New Vegas in space with a hint of like a sprinkle of BioShock and Borderlands.
Yeah, I'm on board for this. Whatever it is.
Yeah, it's it's coming to PS4 and PC as well.
Okay.
So
I mean, that
guess
makes sense.
This was probably in development, probably long before they got bought.
Yeah. They have to finish out their commitments.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this, especially you, Jack, it's worth checking out that trailer, because, I mean, it's Obsidian. Yeah, it's got, like I said, like, it's like a blend of Fallout and some little bit of, like, Borderlands-y humor. Like, it's got, like, a lighthearted tone to it. You explore, like, a space colony, and, like, I'm trying to remember, I'm actually looking up the synopsis, but, like, there's a vibe that the game is going for. It's kind of got like the vintage sci-fi game look of, like, everything kind of has like a westerny out, like vintage look to it in terms of like the advertisements and stuff like that. Yeah, like you have to, and there's like a player driven thing, there's choices, and you're basically trying to, like, I guess, like, establish this colony, and you're, like, exploring like a system, like a space system.
Oh, so it's Mass Effect Andromeda.
I mean, you could just say Mass Effect. You don't have to add the Andromeda parts.
I mean, you're exploring a space system to establish a colony.
Sure, yeah, but like Fallout-y.
Yeah.
But in space.
And BioShock, yeah.
With some Borderlands-y kind of, like, but with humor. Get what I'm saying? Do you not make this more clear?
It looks good. Moving on.
It does look cool. It like graphically it looks gorgeous. Like the art direction, and like it's got like a vibrancy to it that gives it some personality outside of the humor. The worlds look really nice and creative, at least what they've shown. There's some cool enemies. Like there's a guy with a sword that comes at you, like an alien guy with a scimitar looking thing. And it looks cool. I like Obsidian. I like Fallout New Vegas a lot. And I've liked like Obsidian's other stuff, like South Park and all that. So it's always cool to see like another like RPG. I've never played Pillars of Eternity, but I've heard good things about it. Obviously, this is a very different thing than that.
It's all right.
But yeah, I think this is definitely one of the bigger games for next year, and it looks awesome. Honestly, it looks like it could be something really, really cool.
That's awesome.
So you got that to look forward to, and instead of all the stuff that hasn't inspired you got this.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I mean, I got this. I've got The Good Life. I've got Super Meat Boy Forever. I've got Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order.
Yeah, if it happens.
Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Yeah, this is the good life for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see how it did that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I tried really hard.
You did.
I'm glad it's appreciated the effort. Next up, another game that I'm really psyched about that also came from the Game Awards is The Pathless. I'm assuming you didn't see this. Did
nope.
You? Okay. This is remember Giant Squid?
Sure.
They made Abzu.
Yeah.
This is their next game.
Well, it looks like they might need a path.
But this Pathless, it's very different from Abzu and I guess Journey, which, you know, some of the Giant Squid is made of some former Journey developers. Instead of being this kind of like really serene exploration thing where you don't do all that much, it's more of an action game, but still has a really gorgeous art style. But you're playing as like a lady who has a wolf, or not a wolf, I'm sorry, it's an eagle, and it's got this kind of like third person behind the shoulder view, and the idea is that you're like running through all these levels and you're like gaining momentum and you're using your eagle to like fly, like you can jump in your eagle and it can fly you over gaps and stuff like that.
That's cool. So it's like a giant eagle.
Oh no, it's a regular eagle.
Oh. But you're a really small person.
I guess you just weigh less, or it's a very strong eagle. I know that the eagle gets more like you can upgrade the eagle where it carries you farther over time. So like I think early on it's kind of like a cuckoo in Zelda when you hold those, and then eventually you make it kind of glide further.
I guess I've never heard anyone pronounce. I always in my head I pronounced it cuckoo.
Oh, is it cuckoo?
I don't know.
I've always heard it. I've heard of the people like
sounds like a much different modern vernacular term.
I've heard other people, I think years and years ago, call it cuckoos because I didn't know how to say it, and I was like, oh, I guess that's what it is, and I've never been corrected on it. So like, But now you say cuckoo, I guess that would make more sense because it's a bird.
Or a cuckoo? Like, I don't know. Now. You've turned my world on its head.
I mean, you've turned mine on its head. I've never considered... I mean, yours does sound like it would make more sense now that I think about it. But again, I've never been corrected saying cuckoo.
Like, I guess your way would make more sense if there was just one O, but there are two O's. So it sounds like it'd be more of an ooh sound.
Oh, man. I'm going to be self-conscious now every time I say it. Now that I know there's an alternative.
It just sounds like something you'd, like, walk up to someone and say, "What's up, cuckoo?"
I don't know what that means. Is that an insult?
like a combination of cuck and, like, I don't know, like fucko? I don't know.
Is that a word, fucko?
Sure.
Okay. Anyways, the Pathless. Yeah, so this game has action. Unlike Abzu and Journey, you've got a bow and arrow, you're shooting these arrows at bosses, you're like... Actually, Game Informer did a nice little spread on it in their most recent issue, and I read it, and I can't remember all of it. I apologize, but the gist is that you're going through this forest, and you're hunting down these, like, animals, these, like, mythical animals, and you fight them, and you, like, free them from, I think, some kind of corruption, and then that affects the environment, but basically the gist of it is that you are moving around shooting arrows, and it looks really, really fun, and it looks gorgeous, too, and it's a lot more involved than Abzu was from, like, a gameplay perspective, and it's coming to PS4 and PC, and you should look it up if you haven't seen it.
Neat.
I'm a fan of Abzu, so I'm excited for this. God, cuckoos. Anyways, next up, The Sinking City.
It looks neat.
They had a big thing at E3, like a big booth.
Yeah.
Passed through by it a bunch of times, and there was people out there doing weird stuff.
I think Zach saw that game.
Did he go see it?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Did he like it? Oh, okay. Yeah, it does look pretty neat. I'm trying to remember. 'Cause I kept getting it mixed up with because it's the Lovecrafty game. That's right. Yeah, he did see that, 'cause I remember he was telling me about it. Yeah, it's set in H.P. Lovecraft world. Not to be confused with the Call of Cthulhu game that I think came out in 2018.
Yeah, it's out.
That's right. We had a lot of Cthulhu things going on. But yeah, you're like it's like combining Lovecraft with like 1920s America, and you're going through this like city, you're like exploring the city that's like half underwater, and you're like encountering all of these, I guess, cosmic horror things, and like I think there's a sanity meter and all this stuff. I remember watching like a gameplay walkthrough of it, like I think like a month or so after E3 because I was interested in it, and it looks cool. I think it's another kind of dark horse for like this could be something special if it all comes together. It looks I think it's a really unique and promising looking kind of open world game. I know you're like going around talking to people and you can't like trust all the time what they're saying and stuff like that. What do you think?
I think it's definitely up there for at least one of my personal dark horse picks for the year, because I've been hearing a lot of like low-key buzz about it, and I haven't heard anything bad.
Yeah, it's actually soon too.
Zach's working on some stuff about it for me
at
the moment, so that's neat.
Nice. And it comes out March 21st.
Yeah.
So not too long of a wait. Next, The Surge 2.
I didn't play the Surge. I heard good things, but I didn't play
it. I didn't play The Surge either. I heard middling.
E3.
I heard middling things. I saw it at E3 as well. Were we there together? No. I had an appointment for it.
It was okay.
I thought that Lords of the Fallen was pretty decent.
Oh,
it's that same team.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess you didn't like it as much as I did.
I didn't. I hated the demo for Lords of the Fallen.
I beat the whole game.
It actively my demo experience with that game was getting stuck in a corner, and then I couldn't move, and I was just like, oh, this is just Dark Souls but buggy and bad. So
my experience was buggy, but I'd say it's Dark Souls but not quite as good, but solid. Like I think it's a good introduction to that style if you've been interested in it, because it's still challenging, but it's much easier than From Software stuff. It's like the training wheels version of Dark Souls, and it's got a decent like look to it. I think like it's got like technically it looks impressive, and the actual art direction is interesting. It looks okay. I think it's fine. Like it's solid. Nothing great. Nothing terrible. And the Surge was kind of like a post-apocalyptic like sci-fi take on that same formula, but had the cool or like interesting like body part thing where like you're targeting different parts of the like robotic enemies, and then you could, if you broke them up, you can incorporate them into your like character and get stronger like that. And I heard it was okay, like middling things, and then the Surge 2 was supposed to address those things, but neither of us have played the Surge, so it looks like it could be good, but other than that, that's all we can say. Anyways, moving on. The Walking Dead, episode 3, the last season. That thing's happening after the literal world of Telltale just exploded before all of our eyes. And yeah, that was a whole thing, basically. But yeah, the 3rd episode of that game's coming out. I got nothing to say because I've never played any of them, but I thought it was noteworthy because that is kind of a big deal, because that game was supposed to be dead after the studio died.
I'm more interested in like the behind the scenes story of Telltale and how this game got resurrected than I am about the actual story of the game itself.
Yeah, that's become kind of the afterthought. I mean, I know the I forget the name of the studio. I think it's Skybound, but like the Walking Dead author like owns it or runs it. Is his name Robert Kirkman? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know anything about The Walking Dead, so I'm surprised I remember that. Like he had like a statement saying like, "Oh yeah, we're picking this up and we're gonna finish it," and then another studio I think stepped in too, or like to publish it. But whatever, like. It was basically like a bunch of like different teams kind of picking up the pieces and getting some of the ex-Telltale devs to back on board to pump this out. But yeah, like I'm with you, Jack. Like everything around this thing is more interesting to me, and more so by virtue of like not having played any of those games. So I don't have any I don't have any attachment to the series. I've never played them, despite owning both seasons.
I'm just behind by about 2 seasons, so.
So you played the first season? I
played the first 2 seasons, and then I didn't finish the Michonne spin-off.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And I'm pretty sure there was like the Walking Dead Frontier season. Like I
was gonna say, wasn't there Fear the Walking Dead? But that's a TV show.
Yeah,
right?
that's a TV show.
I'm getting all the Walking Dead stuff mixed up.
There was a 3rd season of The Walking Dead. That I didn't play, and now there's the final season.
Are you going to play it?
I think I'm going to. I've just been waiting for it to. Well, I don't even know if I can play the 3rd season now because they've been pulling games off of Steam.
Oh, that's right. It's the same on consoles too.
I think they've been pulling them off of all the stores. So
okay, I know I've seen I've heard about that. I know I've seen some of them still like on just like super duper discounted, or like free basically, like on Game Pass or whatever. I don't know what the status of that is at this moment. But yeah, that by hook or by crook though, they're gonna finish that damn season. It seems
good.
Though cool, I guess. I mean, cool. What a goddamn mess around all that. Jeez. Anyways, what hopefully isn't a mess is a really cool little game that it's much like another game I keep forgetting about until I hear about it. It's simply called Town.
Okay, haven't heard of this one.
Oh, okay. So this is another Switch exclusive. It was shown. I don't know if it was. I think it was E3 that it was first shown, or I've definitely seen it in like a direct last year. But it's kind of like an RPG throwback, But it's got this really unique premise where it's a JRPG, but the entire game, like the entire story, takes place in one town.
Okay.
Which conceptually sounds really interesting, because you think of like every JRPG is this giant world-spanning epic and you're going everywhere. And it's like, no, you're in one town the entire story. And that's pretty much the game's main selling point. And I think town is
so
currently
what you're saying to me is it's Dragon Age 2.
The Dragon Age 2 only happened in one town?
Yeah.
I didn't play Dragon Age 2, so.
Oh.
I played Origins. I like that a lot.
Well, then you should play Dragon Age 2.
I don't know. I got an Inquisition, too. I feel like I should just jump to that.
You should play all of them, because they're all pretty good, just in different ways.
Does this 2 really take place in, like, you don't travel? Really?
Yeah.
You don't go anywhere else, ever?
I mean, you leave the confines of the city to go to little areas around the city, but it's all based in Kirkwall.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it takes place over the course of like 2 decades or something.
Huh. Okay. I think this is even like doubling down. Like, it just seems like the town is like, I don't know how big that city is, but it seems like, at least in my mind, the trailer seems smaller, maybe? But yeah, I forgot who is making this. And I did the stupid thing of Googling just town and hoping that, of course, the game would be the first thing that comes up, because what else could it be? Like, town. That one. Oh, yeah, that's right. Game Freak is making this.
Oh, okay. Well, now you have my attention.
That's right. I was like, I know it was a developer of note doing this. So this is their next game, which is always, whenever Game Freak does a non-Pokemon game, they always do cool things. I think the last thing they did was Harmonite for 3DS.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers that.
You're right.
Like, yeah.
Unlike Sega.
That was a neat little thing. Yes. Unlike Sega. And then I forgot, they've done another game other than... Did Game Freak do Elite Beat Agents? Or am I just being stupid?
I don't think you're being stupid, but I think you're just...
Wrong.
You heard Harmonite and are just throwing out other beat series.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was like, that was Game Freak, right? Elite Beat Agents? I don't know why I thought that was them. But yeah. So Town is the working title right now. I hope it keeps that, because I just think that would be funny. Just a game called Town.
That would be a great name for a Game Freak game. I support them.
Yeah, but yeah, it's so like what it is that there's monsters attacking the town. So you're like defending this town, and like the whole story takes place within it. Oh, they did Pocket Card Jockey. I didn't realize that was them. They did Timbo the Badass Elephant? No, that was them either. That was okay. But yeah, it's got a cool kind of like cel-shaded art style to it. It looks goofy as hell, and I'm on board with it, basically. I think it's a really cool idea, and I want to play it. So, it looks cute. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes? You No More Heroes fan?
Not really.
I never played them. Should we just move on?
Okay.
Sorry, No More Heroes fans. Sure, it'll be fine. Twin Mirror. I'm interested in this.
Is this the kind of Twin Peaks looking thing?
Yeah, from Don't Nod?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't... Again, this is one that we don't have a ton of information on, but I'm intrigued and definitely interested, and the pedigree of the studio makes me trust that whatever they're going to do is at least going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's got like a... It reminds me of Alan Wake, in a way, which I guess also is like Twin Peaks, so... I've never seen Twin Peaks. Anyways... yeah, it's... Bandai Namco is apparently publishing this, I guess?
Yeah, they've been doing some weird publishing things lately. And
that's a weird Bandai Namco and Don't Nod. What an interesting
yeah.
mix. Huh.
I'm here for it. I hope we get more weird stuff like this.
Yeah, Bandai Namco, they're on a spree right now. But yeah, basically you play as a dude who it's an episodic adventure game because it's Don't Nod, so why not? Though it looks more, I guess, realistic, I'll say, I guess. So it doesn't have that Life is Strange art style. It looks like like more of a game. I don't know. Realistic game. Anyway, yeah, you play as a dude. I don't know what I'm sorry. What am I trying to say here? You play as a dude who's recovering from like, let's see, he recovers from a breakup, and then he goes back to his hometown to attend a funeral for his friend, and then like something happens where like he like goes to sleep and wakes up, and he finds that like there's blood all over him, and that he
there's like a Silent Hill kind of thing going on.
Yeah, like basically he wakes up and kind of may or may not have killed a guy in the previous night, and he doesn't remember anything. So he pretty much is trying to figure out what the hell happened in that night.
I'm gonna call it just from the name. I'm gonna guess that either he has an evil twin, or he has some sort of weird split personality that only comes awake when he's asleep, and it murders people.
Like sleepwalking, but also like
no, like he goes to sleep and like another personality takes over while his normal one is asleep, and like it can walk around and basically be him, like a twin mirror, if you will, and then it goes to sleep and he wakes up.
Would twin mirror suggest multiple personality? Because it's like on one mirror you see two people, or I guess you see one person, but then there's the person looking back. So if it's twin, it'd be like two, because the two in the mirror and then the two original people.
Right, but like the mirror is a metaphor for their split personality. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, anyway, it's supposed to be emotional. You're on a redemption story. You're basically going around talking to people, making choices. So it's kind of in that same vein of like Life is Strange and other narrative stuff. Could be neat.
Oh, it's probably using the same engine that they used for the vampire game, Vampire.
Oh yeah, that happened.
It was a good game.
Was it? I'm curious about it.
I mean, like, it definitely had problems, and it was trying to do some interesting things.
So this basically sounds like
the most interesting stuff happened in like the last 20 minutes. Anyway.
So this basically sounds like Remember Me? Like you could literally say the same thing for Remember Me.
Kinda. I enjoyed it, other than like the really, basically the big thing that weighs it down is you're a vampire and you have abilities that let you like teleport, basically, but you can only use them in select situations, and you can't use them to traverse the city, so you have to like by foot run back and forth across the city, and it gets pretty dull, and it'd be great if you didn't have to do that. Anyway, moving on.
All right, Wolfenstein Youngblood.
More Wolfenstein, good.
Set in the future. You play as his daughters. BJ Blazkowicz, if it wasn't clear. His twin daughters, last seen inside of, what's his name? Wife's name? Anya? Her belly. They're now out of her belly and fully grown, and they're kicking ass. And they're still fighting Nazis. At least like 20 years or so in the future. I think they're like teens or young adults, but they're wearing like badass armor and they're shooting up Nazis.
How much do you want to bet that BJ Blazkowicz somehow time travels into that storyline?
So you're saying like he comes from the past to help his daughters?
Yeah, or via some sort of weird accident.
I mean, honestly, after Wolfenstein 2, they could do anything they want, and I would not question it in terms of like, well, that's just silly. Like, because 2, if you've not, did you play Wolfenstein 2?
I have it downloaded. I haven't played it.
Oh, word. Well, I mean, Wolfenstein 1 is silly as hell, but 2, literally, like, they established they can do whatever the hell they want. In terms, like, nothing is off the table, basically.
Cool.
So,
I'm down.
Yeah, sure, why not? God, you need to play 2. 2, I think 2, gameplay-wise, is not as good as 1. I think it's a little too hard for its own good. That's kind of my only complaint. But the story and moments are some of the best of this generation. Like, it is off the goddamn wall. My God, if it played better, it would be a masterpiece. But yeah, this looks cool just because, yeah, more Wolfenstein. I just hope that they learn from the difficulty issues with Wolfenstein 2. Because, like I said, even at the easiest difficulty, that game could be hard as hell. So I hope that's I just hope it's balanced a bit better. Other than that, go do whatever the hell you want. I mean, you've already done that twice, so should be cool. And last but not least, we've got Yoshi's Crafted World. New Yoshi game.
New Yoshi game. Good.
I loved Yoshi's Woolly World. That was a great game. I think it's the best Yoshi game since Yoshi's Island. I hope this is as good as that. It looks cute. It's basically, instead of yarn, it's just kind of arts and crafts stuff in general.
They've got a little... They did everything they could with yarn.
Yeah, they kind of decided to dig further in the crafts drawer and use other materials besides yarn.
They ran out of yarn.
They went to Michael's and picked out other... They found out there were other aisles besides the yarn aisle. So there's cardboard and paper and just
buttons.
Yeah, just everything. It looks adorable. It looks like it could be fun. Yeah, not much to say. Except I hope it's good. It looks pretty much like a Yoshi game in terms of gameplay. It's got the cool kind of like foreground, background thing where you're kind of like the levels like kind of like dioramas, and you can shift the perspective where you're in the background of it, and then go forward, and that seems to play into like puzzle solving and platforming. It looks neat. It looks really, really neat and precious. So there you have it. And with that, you have...
I actually have one game that wasn't on your list that I would like to add, just for your listeners.
Whoa! A new challenger approaches. Should I do the Smash Brothers siren and it's like the silhouette of your game?
Gosh, if you want.
Wee. That's not.
Wee. No, it's Atomic Heart. I don't know if you've heard of this or not.
It sounds vaguely familiar. I'm Googling it now.
It has a release window for 2019. And it's basically a Russian game dev team doing what looks like their own take on BioShock. And so I think the basic concept of the game is that you are the survivor of a plane crash in somewhere in Russia, and you kind of arrive at this abandoned theme park that I can't remember. It may or may not be in Chernobyl, actually.
I'm looking at a trailer on Steam. It looks really nice.
It does look really nice. And you slowly discover that...
it looks freaky as hell, too. What the hell? What am I looking at here?
That there's like a military base underneath the theme park, and there are a bunch of killer robots.
There's robots and, like, blood creatures, and the ground is shaped. There's, like, Dr. Octopus tentacles. What is happening?
It looks really, really cool.
Why have I not heard of this till now? The ships look like the little drone things that look cool.
Yeah.
It looks nicely animated. I mean, this is like half cinematic trailer, half gameplay. It's... Munfish is the developer.
Yeah,
okay.
I think we just haven't really heard of it because I don't think this developer has done anything else. So people.
This is their debut.
Yeah.
Wow, this looks like it could be super cool. I'm glad you brought this up. Yeah, if you haven't seen this game, I absolutely look this up. The trailer looks just wild. Like I'm just kind of captivated by it right now. It's like a giant fat robot thing.
What? And it has something to do with a weird heart powering a robot somewhere. It's weird and creepy and awesome.
It's got weapon customization with like a kind of Destiny looking menu. Atomic Heart. Okay. Dead Shock? Is that the subtitle? It's just there. Alright. Yeah. That looks really cool. It says it's an alternative universe in Soviet Union. You play as a special agent. And that's about all it says.
Yeah.
You just go. So
another game we don't know much about.
But there is a trailer that shows a lot of crazy... There's two trailers, actually. 3 trailers actually. So yeah, plenty to go look at. It, like I said, it looks really pretty. I hope it comes to consoles. Yeah. Good way to end it. Nice little surprise there. Thank you for that,
a little
Jack.
twist. I've been holding on to that for 3.5 hours.
Just in your back pocket. It's good. It's like it's a little warm now, but it's still good. Well, yeah. Thanks for spending those 3.5 hours with me.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure.
We'll name this like the 2019 Game Preview Spectacular or something. Running down all of the hot releases you should look for. Hopefully 2019 is as stellar of a year as 2018 was. Again, I'm going to be optimistic and say that all of the games are going to be good. Everything gets a perfect 10. All of them are Game of the Year. Anyways, thank you for coming. And once again, you can check out Jack alongside her co-host Naomi at the Best Games Period, releasing every Monday on where can they find the show?
You can find us on SoundCloud, Libsyn, iTunes, really any podcasting app you can find us.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me once again. This was a lot of fun. All right, guys, and that wraps up another episode of Marcus Talks About Games. You can join me next Monday to talk about the Resident Evil 2 remake, as well as a bunch of other fun and robust topics. So, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and hit me up, you can do so at MarcusStewart7. That is the number 7. And as always, you can download this show on SoundCloud. Just search for Marcus Makes Media, and you can subscribe to the show and get it downloaded to your device immediately. No need to search it out. You can also subscribe to the show on YouTube at Marcus Makes Media, and as well as iTunes at Marcus Writes About Games on iTunes. That'll probably be changed soon to Marcus Makes Media, but for now, it's still the old moniker of Marcus Writes About Games. So, with that said, guys, thanks for listening. I'll see you next Monday. Have a good one.